you could say that what hbomberguy is doing here is basically like turn it in. He's pulling a turn it in on YouTube commentators. A 4-hour turn it in fest. All right, let's look at plagiarism in YouTube. I want to cover a couple different parts of this, specifically Illuminati. We're not going to watch the whole thing because it's 4 hours, obviously. But I want to start out with the Illuminati thing.
Don't part Illuminati.
This was like a big thing, right? This was like a big deal. Illuminati was like saying legal like stole from her or something. And at the time I thought it was like ridiculous. One, because, you know, I'm a misogynist, and two, because I think legal is hot, and three, because I think it's a ridiculous thing to say that like an editing style is stolen. You're in the content mill part? Yeah, I know. Bro, the stray you caught in this was so rough. Okay, everyone needs to calm down, like, and collectively take multiple breaths. One, hbomberguy was literally in the chat earlier today. He is a friend of mine, and he literally asked ahead of time where he was like, I wrote a joke, and I now realize that this joke is probably going to be seen as like me shitting on you. Like, do you think it's all right? Like, and I was like, yeah, sure. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Pop off, King. Who gives a fuck? You're the man. Now, I should have never even mentioned that, because now people are trying to use that as a reason to shit on hbomberguy. Like a lot of fans of like Internet Historian and stuff are using that as a way to shit on hbomberguy, to be like, no, actually, plagiarism is perfectly fine and valid. Like, the real problem is when you are openly watching someone else's YouTube video that you like often, especially now, get express permission to watch, and you know, are friends with the content creator. Can we watch the cave stuff because it exposed a popular YouTube as a right-wing guy? I got like vibes that he might have been like a right-wing dude. I thought he was all right. I don't know. I don't really know enough. They were asking proof of you, saying it was okay. Actually, psychos. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? Who gives a shit? Anyway, my least favorite part of you watching videos is how you pass them off as videos that you wrote / made. Yeah. I guess instead of like watching someone else's video after getting consent from them, or maybe sometimes even not getting consent, really, but assuming that more often than not, consent has been given. Or at least there's been a broad allowance for people to watch their content. Those are usually the three different broad categories. No, not assuming consent of that sort. I'm saying like when someone... Like the Internet Historian has in the past said, you know, he doesn't give a shit when people watch their content. You know what I mean? There's obviously a difference between like watching this a YouTube video versus like passing off someone else's YouTube video as mine after watching it, taking the transcript, and then repurposing it and then making it myself. Now, I'm not shocked that a lot of these videos are plagiarized, I guess. I think I have a very different approach to YouTube content. Like I understand that a lot of it is plagiarized, but I never really knew to what degree it was actually plagiarized. Like I always knew that it was straight up like Wikipedia rips, right? We've joked about it before, even in this community. There's like certain content creators that just literally go to Wikipedia, basically copy paste it, and then put their sources and pass off Wikipedia sources as though it is their own. Fuck, I can't even talk. Many great, well-edited videos are like that. None of my friends are like that, though. All the videos I watch on this broadcast, they're not like that at all. They're actually very well sourced and really good. So, that's it. Somner guy stole everything he put out from queer creators, then talked about queer erasure while doing just that. All right, let's watch.
It's a pun. I don't need to impress you. In 2021, when I was working on the vaccines and autism video, I needed something to listen to in the background while I built an Argos bookshelf. So out of curiosity, I put on
A video that I've watched, by the way, and reacted on this broadcast, one of my favorite hbomberguy videos, Andrew Wakefield. Some of the stuff that he personally researched, we use to this day. I use to this day as a talking point, which you could say technically I plagiarized from him. Or I do give him credit for it and don't pass it off as like my own research, so there's that.
On other videos on the topic. One of them was by a channel called Illuminati, whose real name is Blair Zon. I hadn't heard of her before. She seems to do videos covering multi-level marketing schemes, pyramid schemes, and failed businesses, stuff like that. And she seems to make a lot of them really quickly. I wonder how. The video was fine. My phone was several meters away and I couldn't be bothered to reach out and get it and change the playlist, so it just kept going through her anti-vax videos. And at one point, I did a double take.
There was a joint inventor on these products, a man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial. In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood products.
I remember pausing, budget B&Q hammer in hand, and thinking, haven't I heard this exact sentence before?
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
An interesting thing about the MMR scandal is literally all of its big discoveries can be attributed to the work of one man, Brian Deere, whose years of diligent journalism are basically why we know what we do about Andrew Wakefield. His 2004 documentary, MMR, What They Didn't Tell You, effectively berserk eclipsed Wakefield's career as a legitimate doctor. It's great, and Brian uploaded it to his own YouTube channel for free in 2014, so anyone can go watch it. This version has the timecode burned in at the bottom, which is kind of cute, but if you wanted to make your own video about the subject and use that as source footage, that's kind of annoying to look at. So I spent like 2 full days of my life trying to find a version without the timecode, and I finally found what I think is a copy of the original broadcast from 2004. Harrowing stories of child abuse do not pair well with teasers for the TV premiere of Moulin Rouge.
When Dr. Wakefield launched the MMR scare back in 1998,
I used footage from Deere's documentary in my video, explained how important it was, thanked Brian for all of his hard work, and even recommended his book on the subject that had just come out. And he actually emailed my producer Kat with metrics showing people actually did go out and buy the book after seeing my video, which is great. I love knowing that my audience actually reads books. Thank you so
I mean, I don't know. One could say that sometimes. Hey, is it cool if I plagiarize you? Fuck yes. I 100% recommend it. What do you think? Why do you think I give you talking points? That's like 98% of why I do what I do. Okay? Yeah. No shit. Yeah. Use the things that I'm saying. Obviously, don't just internalize it. Read on your own and learn these positions thoroughly. But yeah. Fuck it, YOLO.
So much. So, the reason the Illuminati video sounded so familiar was because I had just rewatched that documentary.
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine
Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine
and made to pay a $10,000 fine
Yeah,
for his misuse and misprescribing of controlled drugs.
and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
Professor Fudenberg has long been controversial.
Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
Been long controversial? So, this is weird. She wasn't quoting Deere, she was saying his words out loud as if she wrote them. So what's happening here? Well, after the bookcase seemed to stand up on its own, despite all the pieces mysteriously left over, I watched the video properly and noticed she does acknowledge Brian Deere and the documentary pretty openly.
In 2004, Brian Deere came out with a documentary entitled MMR, What They Didn't Tell You.
Blair watched a documentary and then downloaded it and used it to make her own. In the first 20 minutes, she plays a chunk of the documentary, or just quotes it, 25 times. More than once a minute, you're hearing something Brian Deere said from his mouth or hers. So this video is lazy? I'm personally insulted that she just used the version of the documentary from Deere's YouTube channel with the timecode burned in. That gets to me a little bit after the effort I put in, but that doesn't make it plagiarism. It's just not very good. And hey, it's not like this is her one source. She quotes a lot of other places too. Or does? Here's some of the times she quotes someone else in the video. Wow, look at all this research she must have done. One thing though, what's the source for these quotes? Okay, we need to talk about how to cite a source for a second. If you watch any non-Illuminati video essay, you'll see these pretentious little commies put some text in the corner telling you where their quote comes from. This is so you know what they're quoting, so you can check it or go find it and learn more if you want, and to give proper credit to the people whose ideas or knowledge they're borrowing. If you're using someone else's words in a video you intend to make money off, it's very important to give proper credit and attribution. Listing where the quote is from is important, not just so it's easy for people to find and verify it, but it's useful context which helps people interpret what they're seeing. If someone showed you a quote that made a person look bad, you might
The U.S. bombed them back to traditional values. Feminism does not exist in Japan. While I don't like judging an entire culture that does not
feel a bit cheated if they didn't mention its source is a blog by someone you've never heard of that doesn't exist anymore. I have a little rule for quoting that other creators seem to use as well. If someone saw a clip of your video out of context, would it be possible for them to tell you're quoting someone and where it's from? Blair, for some reason, doesn't cite her sources. Here's a part where she quotes Andrew Wakefield.
Wakefield also stated, mumps, measles, and rubella together might be too much for the immune system of some children to handle.
I love there's a tiny Andy there for some reason, but not saying where he said this is pretty bad citation. But this isn't a mistake. Blair is hiding the source on purpose for a reason. You see, this quote is from the...
Yes, one of the funniest parts about this is literally like a first year college course explaining to you how like you're supposed to properly cite your arguments. You're supposed to properly source and cite your the things that you use in your videos. I mean, not videos, fuck. In your articles, MLA format, APA. I guess they do it in fucking high school too, right? I don't know. I didn't learn about this stuff in high school. I didn't go to high school here. I went to high school in Turkey, but...
Same documentary again. Brian Deere plays a clip of Wakefield.
Like what you could say that what hbomberguy is doing here is basically like turn it in. He's pulling a turn it in on YouTube commentators and like the commentary sphere, like essay writers. A 4-hour turn it in fuckfest.
Saying it at a conference.
Measles, mumps and rubella given together may be too much for the immune system of some children to handle.
Why didn't she just play the clip? She had it downloaded. Well, because she's already played so many clips from this documentary, it looks ridiculous. So she started quoting it, and just not telling you she's quoting the one thing she watched. I wonder where all the other quotes come from.
And more still, nurses were leaving, saying they don't like what's being done.
Nurses were leaving.
You know what's ironic? I feel like it would be better if she just like unironically took that documentary and reacted to it, and then cut the parts where she's reacting to it. Like it literally would have, like less people would be mad if you just watched the documentary, said you're watching the documentary, and then reacted to the documentary rather than passing off words from the documentary as though it's on your own, as though it's words that you came up with on your own. I'm not even kidding, because at that point, absolutely zero people think that you wrote any of that shit. I don't think people come in here and they go, oh, wow, Hasan, I can't believe you wrote a 5-hour video on plagiarism in YouTube. How cool. No, like everybody knows I'm watching a friend of mine's 4-hour video on YouTube about plagiarism and YouTube. I didn't write any of this shit. I do, however, play a role in this where I get joked about.
And saying they didn't like what was being done to these children.
It needed 3 people to hold these kids down
in some cases, just to have blood taken.
I feel very sorry for the children
who I feel were being abused.
This study had, in fact, begun with a contract from a group of solicitors that were
trying to sue MMR manufacturers.
That is
Chadwick
damning!
said he had hoped the ordeal, when it hit the news, would die its own death.
It includes injecting mice with measles virus.
He injected mice with measles,
Extracting their white blood cells.
extracted their white blood cells, and injected the stuff into pregnant goats.
This is amazing. She just quotes people from this one documentary and pretends she did any work.
No, this literally is like straight up. This is like utilizing the documentary as a narrative tool to like draw a larger point that you want to make. For example, I do this from time to time. I will look at like source material. I use it with like Al Jazeera videos and shit, right? But however, of course, I have a lot more opinions on a particular matter when I'm watching a YouTube video, and I will add a shit ton, a metric ton of different additional information to it. I'll pull from other videos as well. I'll source things. However, one thing I won't do is just like verbatim copy paste the fucking transcript. You have to, this is hard. I don't know why she's working this hard. I don't understand it. Why does she just not play the video and then add her own perspective into it? Like, she should have just used those parts that narratively make sense and be like, wow, dog, that shit's crazy. They used goats. Even that, all of a sudden, is not like great, but then the argument turns into you're not reacting too hard.
Eventually, she stops bothering to even make it look like a quote and just starts saying Brian Deer's words out loud. And that's how the stuff at the beginning happened. She got so lazy, she stopped bothering to pretend.
I saw some people last night try to explain to you that you don't cite your sources when it's sources you're reading on screen.
She wasn't copying the documentary.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products. Then in 1995, he was suspended from practicing medicine and made to pay a $10,000 fine for his misuse of prescribing controlled drugs.
MMR, what they didn't tell you, has been chewed up and spat back into your mouth like you're a little baby bird. My favorite part is when some of what she's saying appears in quotes for some reason, attributed to lawsuit with FDA. Like, no, Brian Deer said that.
He established a scientific system that would satisfy Wakefield and Pounder for testing.
And Pounder? Wait a second, who's Pounder? This Pounder guy never comes up again in the video. She brings him up here by mistake because she's paraphrasing another section of the documentary.
He established a scientifically valid system that would satisfy Dr. Wakefield and his head of department, Professor Roy Pounder.
Roy Pounder is an important character in the story. Blair has cut him out completely to save time, but she accidentally kept this one reference. This makes the copying kind of blatant. She's referencing a guy who exists in the documentary and not her video. Obviously, stealing someone else's words is plagiarism, but on a more zoomed out level, so is copying an entire documentary and trying to hide it. Like, obviously there's something wrong here. Here's a hint. If you're trying to trick people into thinking you're not quoting the thing you're quoting, you're probably doing plagiarism. But here's where it gets interesting.
But it's like, but she didn't even, I feel like you could at least try a little bit harder to like use a thesaurus or something. This is like basic entry level shit. You know what I mean? In order for your Turnitin project to not get fucking hit with like, oh, this is definitely something that you've plagiarized, you literally have to use like a thesaurus or something. Even I know that from my fucking college days. You know what I mean? Run it through, change some goddamn words. She had the same pacing and the same cadence. How did she do that?
Blair knows people might notice this, so she's come up with a defense mechanism. The video has a link in the description to a list of sources, where stuff she quoted or showed in the video gets linked. This is normal, lots of people do this, although usually they cite them when they use them in the actual video, but still. It's an unlabeled collection of links that's difficult to sort through, but if you keep digging, eventually you find a link to Brian Deer's YouTube upload of the documentary. So now if anyone criticizes the fact she ripped it off, she can say, no, I was using a source, I cited it, check, it's in my list somewhere. And she uses this flimsy excuse to basically steal anything she wants. Blair frequently plagiarizes people, never mentions they exist in the video or cites them anywhere, but she puts a link in a list no one will read. So that makes it okay, right? The video we've been talking about so far is the second in a series of 3 about Andrew Wakefield. Here's part of the first one where she talks about his early career.
He became a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in 1985 and a year later was awarded a Wellcome Trust Traveling Fellowship to study small intestine transplantation in Toronto, Canada.
Let me ask you real quick. Is she quoting a source right?
The first guy he talks about in the video worked for IGN and just copied other writers at other websites. That's crazy. What, Cinemassacre? Is that the guy? Or Philip? What a name.
Right now?
Philip.
I mean, no, it's just stock footage. So clearly she wrote this part, right? No, she's just reading an article from the Telegraph.
He became a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons in 1985 and a year later was awarded a Wellcome.
I mean, look, as a fucking article head myself, I read a lot of articles, okay? Sorry, I will admit it. I do be reading articles, okay, nonstop. And like, obviously I process a lot of that information and I will be spitting it out in real time every now and then in the midst of a conversation, right? But I feel like when I do that in real time, when I'm like trying to remember information and like repeat it to you, like I'm still using my words. You know what I mean? I'm not like, I've learned something from an article that I read and now I'm actually repeating it to you. And I feel like even then it's like, but it's my words at that point. You know what I mean? Like I paraphrase, I don't know, unless I'm directly reading an article on stream, which I do quite regularly. I don't know, like, I don't know how you do this and make a scripted video where you're just like reading an article. Why don't you just like post it? It's an article.
Trust traveling fellowship to study small intestine transplantation in Toronto, Canada. Dr. Wakefield returned.
That's just called that's just called learning. Yeah, I mean, there's that too.
To the UK in the late 1980s, where he began to devote more time to research.
Oh no, there's more.
Joining the Royal Free Hospital in London, he worked on the liver transplant program and in 1996 began researching bowel disorders, autism, and the MMR vaccine.
The average person watching this is being led to believe Blair wrote the words she is saying here. This is called plagiarism. The audience has no way of knowing she's actually reading them the fucking newspaper. But the article she plagiarized is in the list of sources. So we already know what the excuse will.
It's like if you read an article off screen but acted like you were just talking. True. Okay. Which is ironic because sometimes I just pop off so fucking hard. Chatters will unironically, like my haters will be like, where are you reading this from? To which I say, my brain, bitch. That's right. Fucking hell.
Will be. It wasn't plagiarism. She was just quoting a source. Without telling you. I'm imagining an alternate universe where Philip and Newt's videos just had a little paste bin link at the bottom, which goes to all the stuff they stole. Like as if that would make it okay? This is just plagiarism, but with a shitty excuse in her back pocket to create plausible deniability. The intent behind this is pretty clear. Illuminati videos are like 90% quotes by volume. The part where she plagiarizes the Telegraph is in a 5-minute sequence mostly consisting of quotes from other places.
More research groups with more sophisticated techniques failed to confirm Wakefield's findings. Wakefield was actually born into a family of doctors in 1957. His mother was. This data led us to postulate that there may be a role for measles infection and Crohn's disease, even if at present this role remains unclear. Medical Research Council also insisted upon a frantic
Seriously, huge chunks of the video are just reading entire screenfalls of text from the BBC, various papers, Slate, The Telegraph, and Brian Deere. Yeah, she actually quotes Brian Deere in this one. Wow! But this makes the videos boring. She's just reading pages of quotes at you. So to break up the screens of text and make it feel more original, sometimes she doesn't tell you she's reading someone else's words. She's doing plagiarism out of embarrassment to make the videos less boring. When I think a video is being lazy, I do a little test. I check what sources the video used, thankfully Blair provided a list, and I compare it with the sources you would get if you went to the Wikipedia page for the topic.
Ooh.
All of the quotes in that 5-minute sequence I mentioned, including the Telegraph article she plagiarized, are just linked on Wakefield's Wikipedia page. Oh, I know how this video was researched. This is a really common trick with lazy creators. Go on Wikipedia and quote all of their sources, and then it looks like you did a bunch of research and work. And to make it even better, she pretends she had to look for this stuff.
Other studies have suggested there may be a link to Crohn's and measles, just not Wakefield. I was able to find a different study from the National Library of Medicine that's more recent.
I was able to find? I mean, I guess I'm glad you were. One of the lights went off. Hold on a second. I'm not sure everyone.
I mean, what's she supposed to say, though, to be fair? I went to Wikipedia and copy-pasted this and then used the sources as though they were my own sources. I'm just saying. At this point, yeah, he's shitting all over your research process in college, baby. That's right. Who amongst us hasn't done this? Except, like, obviously you're not slapping on fast-paced edits onto it and, like, passing it off as your own and then making YouTube money off of it. I guess that's the only difference there. And you have a Turnitin structure, so you actually have to basically massage the words better, that sort of thing.
Everyone is fully convinced that quoting a documentary for 30 minutes while pretending you're quoting someone else counts as plagiarism. I mean, It's a bit weird, but she cited it as a source,
Caught.
so technically it's fine. I see you. You little pedant. You think you're so fucking clever, don't you? But the fact she's trying to pass off other documentaries' work as her own is obvious when you realise if you didn't know the source material, you would have no idea she was doing this. To test this theory, I decided to watch a video of hers on a subject I knew next to nothing about, the Fyre Festival, which I've really not looked into before.
It was no isolated island, but
I haven't seen this video, but I disagree with it. Good artists steal. Any creative who works in capitalism knows our lives are our content being stolen by powerful folks. I say let it all be stolen. Thank you, Cinemarxism.
an underdeveloped lot just north of a sandals resort.
At first glance, the video is surprisingly well researched, with plenty of backstory and explanations.
According to Marianne Roll, a local that owns an Exuma Point restaurant, they had every living soul on the island of Exuma who could lift a towel working.
Lots of it is just quotes, of course. She's still just quoting people mostly, but the fact there's so many quotes makes it feel well-researched and credible.
One of these people was Keith Vanderland, a pilot in charge of flying Billy around the Bahamas. According to Keith, Billy's team really wanted to do
And, once or twice, Blair brings up one of the documentaries about the Fyre Festival and mentions something that happens in them.
Later, in a documentary around the event, Billy himself claims that they had
He even talks about Ludwig's Yoink and Twist. No fucking way, really? He had the smoke for Ludwig? Where was that?
rented 250 houses.
She makes it very clear what her source for that section is.
To be fair, Yoink and Twist is valid. Like, that's the basis of art. All art is derivative. There is no art that you could be, truly revolutionary or unique. There's always going to be something there. Yoink and Twist is totally valid.
All seems very above board.
Ethical Reacts is totally valid
too.
too.
Those two documentaries were some of the sources she used for her
I'm gonna grab
video.
my food real quick, which is why, while I'm still listening to the video, I'm not gonna be appearing on screen for a brief moment, so all my haters can fucking get excited. Clip it right now.
Netflix documentaries as sources for this episode, as well as various articles.
I think it's fair to say an average person would think they were watching an original work with lots of research and sources, which tastefully brings up two documentaries when necessary. And that's what I thought too, and I thought that was fine. It was a pretty well put together video. But then I watched Fyre, the Netflix documentary about the Fyre Festival.
And what I realized was that they had
What was the timing on that? What was the timing on that? What was the timing on that?
Sandals Resort.
What was the timing on that? 10 seconds? Fuck. Too late, I already clipped it. Fuck. It's over, bros. It's over. It's over. It's done. Pack it up, buddy. Pack it up. I just got fucking got, dude. I did it. No, I didn't actually piss. I went to grab my food from the door. So I was listening.
It was no isolated island, but an underdeveloped lot just north of a sandals resort.
And then effectively photoshopped out the bottom portion of the map to make it look like they were on a deserted island.
They were photoshopping out the rest of the island to make it appear as if Fyre Cay was a deserted island dedicated to the event. According to Marianne Roll, a local that owns an Exuma Point restaurant, they had every living soul on the island of Exuma who could lift a towel working.
They had every living soul on the island of Exuma who could lift a towel working.
According to Keith, Billy's team really wanted to do tents, so what I did is I took
my wife and we tried to sleep in a tent for one night. And it was so terrible.
Her Fyre Festival video is mostly her reading words from the Fyre Festival documentary on Netflix, set to footage she got from the Fyre Festival documentary on Netflix, with supplemental footage taken from the Fyre Festival documentary that's on Hulu. But don't worry, her first source in her list is the Netflix documentary, so that makes it okay, right? And then further down in the list is the Hulu one. Although fucking hilariously, she doesn't link it on Hulu, she links it on 123films.cc, the piracy website she watched it on.
Okay, I respect that. I respect that. That's the first time. That is the first time I've seen something that Illuminati's done that I respect. That one I stand behind, okay?
Now this is journalism! Yeehaw!
Calvin claims he then went to the Bahamas for himself to see what was going on and discovered that the luxury festival tents were nothing more than leftover emergency relief tents from Hurricane Matthew.
Apparently this part is from Calvin Wells. No, it's from the same documentary she got everything else from.
One of the things that really struck out to me was that they were erecting these dome tents that were pitched as luxury villas that I realized were leftover hurricane tents from Hurricane Matthew.
The footage playing while she is saying this is the same footage the documentary is showing as Calvin says it. She's just replaced the documentary's voiceover with herself quoting the documentary. It's ridiculous. Quoting documentaries you pirated for 30 minutes while pretending you're just quoting specific individuals is plagiarism. To give an example of how to do these quotes correctly, here's a New Republic article that quotes one of the things Blair did. As one caterer puts it in Netflix's Fire.
Whoa.
It's clear and to the point. The article isn't trying to look like it found this quote. Blair could have said, in the Netflix documentary, this person says this, but she'd have to say that 50 fucking times, and it would make it obvious she's just remembering Netflix at you, so she deliberately obscures the actual source of her quotes. This is to convince a casual audience she found these herself by doing actual research and reading articles and interviews with these people, which she didn't. This is passing off the work that went into making the documentary as her own.
It's just so funny because, like, I feel like if she did basic Turnitin evasion strategies, like, at least then it would be, like, a little bit more permissible, right? Like just straight up basic Turnitin avoidance strategies. Use your own word.
When she brings up the other documentaries as if she's only just talking about them, this is a lie to make you think she hasn't been doing it the whole time.
According to Mark Weinstein, a festival consultant,
a metric shit ton, actually slightly more, an imperial shit ton of this video is just footage from the Netflix.
By the way, didn't this pop off because she literally tried to fucking flex on Legal Eagle? Like, didn't this entire thing absolutely explode in her face because she was like trying to tell Legal Eagle that he stole her editing technique or something, which I thought was insane.
Documentary. Seriously, you can't even fucking take your own screenshot of these articles? What the fuck? This isn't even plagiarism, this is genuinely just copyright infringement. Like, the copyright holder could get this video taken down easily, and maybe even take her to court for the ad revenue she got from their footage. You know YouTube's copyright system, where if you use 5 seconds of the wrong TV show, your video is demonetized? You're probably wondering why that didn't happen here. This is what the Content ID system actually exists to stop, after all. Well, this is why the video has all these ugly filters. What Blair is doing is so obviously stealing that YouTube would notice, so she had to put bisexual lighting over all the footage she got from the documentary. Whoever's making these videos is fully aware what they're doing is unacceptable and is purposefully working around the systems designed to stop them doing it. Blair doesn't just reuse other people's footage without credit though. The video has also been edited to hide the credit that was there. The Fire documentary itself used videos posted on Instagram and Twitter by people who attended the event. And guess what? It credits them. Their social media's in the corner. Blair's video steals this footage from the documentary too and puts a filter over it, but also blurs out the social media. She uses a few clips from a Vice video as well, and the Vice logo gets blurred out so you can't tell where it's from. Since Blair's making a documentary out of other people's documentaries without permission for money, she's trying to hide the evidence of whose footage she's using so they don't notice and serve her a fucking cease and desist. Incidentally, when the Vice video uses footage from the documentary, it tells you, because this is how this shit is supposed to work. At one point she uses a clip of a news piece about the festival, which used footage from the documentary, and you'll notice they also correctly credit the footage too. Blair's sources are full of examples of how to credit the source, but if she'd done the same thing, the word Netflix would just be in the corner for 30 minutes. The video's opening features this fan art, depicting her bro-fisting with a person I believe she recently sent a cease and desist to. Put this on r/aged like milk. This piece of fan art is better attributed than the documentary she stole this video from. The 25 minutes of clips and
I was gonna say, this is the least problematic thing Illuminati's done. She basically had her editing an abusive work relationship and was paying him very little while holding things like cars she bought for him unprompted over his head. He was like 20 or something.
Quotes from Netflix don't get this treatment. She just says, oh, I used these documentaries as research at the end. And I guess she's not lying. She definitely did. I wish there was room in the video to show you just how much she quotes the documentary without telling you, while reusing greased up footage from it, but it's most of the video. There's just too much to show. I also wanted to go more into the ways making sloppy, poorly researched videos means the videos are full of obvious mistakes, but this video is looking kinda long, so I shouldn't. However, before I realized I shouldn't, I'd already made all of it. So, check out the new video on my hot new second channel. I have a second channel now. It's not a live stream channel I hastily rebranded. Check it out if you want to see me complain about Blair getting the Stanford prison experiment wrong, and also Silent Hill lore. Why would you want to watch that? I don't know. This is a horrible pitch.
As a creator, my question is, why make 3 bad videos a week when you could make one half-decent video every 2 weeks, or one pretty good video every year. Videos like
This motherfucker is crazy, bro. It's 4 hours, dog. There's more? There's more? Who's got the fucking time, man? Longer than the Lord of the Rings.
like this aren't made for the reasons normal people make videos, like to inform or entertain or for the joy of making something. They're made for the purpose of putting out more content.
We're gonna get to internet historian after this.
The phrase content mill refers to organizations which produce huge amounts of material very quickly, designed to get attention, with no interest in quality. If you've ever seen an article in a search with a compelling title but which says nothing for several hundred words, and only tells you the thing you wanted at the end, while showing you 7 million ads, you've had the content mill experience, my friend. Some of these are just a link to a video someone else made, but they got to show you ads.
There's a ton of channels out there whose objective is to make as much stuff as possible, as fast and as easily as possible. We just watched Cinemassacre become one of these, making easier, lower effort, worse videos, and for the ones that were supposed to be good, outsourcing the editing to a guy they underpaid so badly he later quit, and the writing to a guy who turned out to be stealing shit. The quality suffers, yeah, but if you don't care about quality, you save yourself a lot of time and effort. The people who are in this for the money are engaged in a constant race to the bottom, to find the easiest possible content to make and still get paid for it. If you're a nerd, and look at you, you've been recommended a YouTube
What's AVGN?
short where a robot explains what happens in a comic.
The sad story of Rocket Raccoon, the drunk who knew Batman's identity after Homelander lost his mind.
These float to the top because there's catchy names.
Yeah, bro. ChatGPT has like fucking made the situation completely untenable. Angry video game nerd? Who's that? I don't know anything about this guy. He's the angriest gamer you've ever heard. He's the angriest.
And there's hundreds of them. So they get recommended to everyone even though nobody likes them. My favorite insane content farm stuff is when an AI explains the plot of a movie to you, but the title is "A Woman Wakes Up Covered in Bees" or something.
Welcome back to Movie Recaps. Today I will show you a drama.
Oh, this shit's so awesome. Dude, we are getting progressively dumber and dumber, bro. I see these sometimes and I'm fascinated with it because it's so stupid. It's like, why? Who watches a movie to get the fucking summary? Like, who would watch that? Like, what? Your goal is to be like, yeah, I watched 1,000 movies? Like, what the fuck? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you watch this? Just watch the fucking movie. They made it for you. They literally made it so you can enjoy it. What the fuck? It's not like reading a book.
Fantasy film from 2018, title Be With You. Spoilers ahead.
These are so perplexing they wrap back around to being performance art. He has only 3 organs left, but the scientists turn him into a super soldier. It's RoboCop! An AI voice explains the plot of RoboCop to you.
Okay, that's
incredible! But if something becomes successful, even if it's something this weird, people are going to try and do the same thing, especially if it's easy to crank out, like an AI recapping a film.
The opening scene features a guy who finds himself confined within a large cube.
The opening sequence introduces a prologue. After this, the chaos caused by the Egyptians is depicted.
Today, I'm going to explain a film based on the real-life story of the youngest warrior of World War II called Soldier.
Wait, is this... Wait, what? Soldier... Is this, like those disability... What is it called? Like, it's like a helpful thing for people with disabilities. Like, if you're blind, it's basically like a text-to-speech of like the closed caption, descriptive audio. Is this just descriptive audio? Is that what they're doing? Like they just take the descriptive audio and just post it? Screen reader. Yeah, that's basically an accessibility feature. I'm saying like maybe they're taking the accessibility feature and like playing it off as though they are, you know, as though it's their own.
Your boy.
Today I'm going to explain the horror zombie film, titled Warm Bodies.
And walked over to the man. When the man saw it, he was still cursing at his wife.
The Dog King has gathered hundreds of stray dogs. He is leading his entire army to attack the city.
Hi, Jake Recaps here. Today I am going to explain a movie called Allerlero.
So you can see how...
Okay, I need to watch these. These are fucking sick.
Content mill shit dovetails very nicely with ripping people off, if not outright plagiarism. And right in the middle of this ecosystem are reaction videos, where people just upload themselves reacting to other people's videos.
Yo, chill.
The money almost makes itself. Reaction videos are a key piece of the Illuminati puzzle here, because that was Blair's previous content mill. A few years back, reacting to Reddit posts was a popular format, and it was easy to make, so hacks jumped
Who would watch this shit, Hasan, 2 minutes ago? No, I'm saying I would watch it. The fucking AI readouts, I want to watch it now. I'm going to react it. That was your whole cameo? Wait, I thought there was more, no?
Jumped on it. She used to make videos reacting to popular Reddit posts, and she'd try to add to the jokes and, you know, not manage it.
After all, if I can't trust the President of the United States, who can I trust?
No, I thought he also shows him, like, in the chat or something. Or that's it?
And that's Tricky Dick. Very cool, man. The Watergate scandal, man.
Oh, I think I saw the Comrade Lamb post. That's why.
You can see how
I have a feeling that I don't even want to look at this because like people are using this against them, and I hate that. Yeah, no. hbomberguy hates me, and he fucking made fun of me for reacting. You said a while ago a friend of the show was making a chair joke for a video. Was this it? Yes, this was it. Anyway.
And himself.
Extremely boringly reading out Reddit posts wasn't good content, but it was content. She saw moderate success doing this for a few years, briefly forming a communal channel where she and several friends reacted to Reddit posts together called Sad Milk, a channel which has since been completely obliterated, and she's currently sending cease and desists to the other members to stop them talking about why. So that's fun.
But this kind of explains a lot. In a way, Blair has always just been reading other people's stuff at you. She spent over half a decade trying to become a popular YouTuber by any means necessary. Before these, she used to do storytime videos back when they were really popular, which led to a notorious video where she talked about clogging a toilet by literally filling it with shit.
I didn't even see the hole, so I knew the poop wouldn't go.
When video essays started being a popular format, she pivoted again and started making what she makes now. None of this has ever been about actually making something she cares about. It's always been about making something popular. When these finally caused her to really take off as a creator, she basically immediately deleted all of her previous cringe.
I kind of feel like we are officially at an era on YouTube where it's like basically a professional form of media. So much so that there's like ethics in YouTube reaction and ethics in YouTube content creation now. Because like you would never in a million years do a video like this about TikTok in general. Like everyone would laugh at you. Like that's 99.9% of content on TikTok is like this. Yeah, you're right. It is a mature medium now. It's official. It is officially a mature ass medium. I respect it. Yeah, we did it. We finally got there.
Attempts to cash in on other trends. Remember when nearly 1 million views disappearing from Philip's channel was a bit weird? Try 40 million. Sounds like those videos aged like milk. Sad milk, that is. The Illuminati channel is a video essay content mill. She has a team of editors helping to put out videos every other day, and she doesn't need a writer. Wikipedia's got her covered. And if there happens to be a documentary on the topic, she can just quote that 40 fucking times. The video happens overnight because she didn't have to do any work. There's a part in the vaccines video where she talks about all the documentaries she's watched as part of her research process. And I don't think she realizes she's telling on herself here.
And I've got to tell you that I've seen a lot of documentaries doing research for these deep dives. The Netflix Betting on Zero for Herbalife, The Dark Side of Chocolate for Nestle, documentary series on the hikikomori, and all the Goop episodes on Netflix, Blackfish for SeaWorld, there's a lot.
This is just a confession. Referencing the big documentaries on a topic you're covering is fine. Quoting them or using some footage from
Twitch is the next for ethics? No, Twitch is too early. Twitch has only recently become like relatively mainstream over the course of like the past 4 or 5 years. Even though it's been around for a lot longer, so there's still plenty of work around. We don't even have a fucking functioning copyright structure.
Them makes a lot of sense, I think. But at a certain point, you're just repackaging other people's work and selling it off as your own. And speaking of selling, why would someone do this? Well, when I sat down to watch the Fire Festival video, I got served 2 advertisements before I could hit play, and then immediately got hit by a commercial for Blair's plushie.
Make sure to snag one before it's gone because these are not coming back once this runs out.
Then 11 minutes in, I got a message from today's sponsor, Mint Mobile, where I could get Squixteen Dingles off my Bexed burger.
And we will begin to unravel what happened at the Fire Festival right after this ad break. Make sure you go to mintmobile.com/MLM. That's mintmobile.com/MLM.
Yeah, I mean, not even a way to avoid the top of the hour ad breaks. Like, that's crazy. At the top of the hour, that is. Right. At the top of the motherfucking hour, baby. 3-minute ad break coming to you right now. Shamelessness.
And then within seconds of that sponsorship ending, I got a second sponsorship. She has two right next to each other. Go to blueland.com/Illuminor.
Go to blueland.com/MLM. That's 15% off your first order of any products of Blue Land orders at blueland.com/MLM.
Now, I don't want to speculate how much money Blair made from this sloppy shit that was made in about a day. But I do know how much a video with that many views makes in ad revenue, and I know what the overhead is on those plushies, and I've been offered similar sponsorships. So I'm pretty comfortable in saying she made a fuck ton of money from stealing someone else's documentary. It turns out it's the same twist it always is. Why did this stupid shit happen? Oh, it's money! This is a really good racket. I'm almost jealous. With a small team of editors, you could knock one of these out every few days. And she does. I mean...
It almost feels like he's mad that, I mean, I agree with what he's saying, but it also does kind of feel like he's mad because, like, it takes him months to make these incredibly long, very well sourced, very well documented, very well researched pieces that he puts together. And she's just out there fucking churning out back to back to back, rapid firing videos. Some people just hate seeing women succeed. True.
She doesn't need a writer. Now, maybe this technically isn't plagiarism. Maybe you give them a pass because having a link somewhere in a description makes it okay to have done this. But I think we can all agree that even if it isn't plagiarism, it is, at the very least, shit. When we're talking about creative works, questions like this aren't really about rigid definitions. It's about whether or not something passes the vibe check, as adults pretending to be children might say. A lot of this is about how something feels. Case in point, when Blair accused someone else of stealing from her. Plot twist, baby!
Party time. The Legal Eagle debacle. This is Devin Stone, law YouTuber and actual lawyer whose channel name
He's so fucking handsome, dude. It's crazy.
is Legal Eagle. He's pictured here interviewing me in my pajamas in the final year I had hair. I used this clip so I could savor it for a second. On April 20th of this year, Blair accused one of Devin's editors of taking her video's style. They were trying to replicate her videos.
Just FYI, I watched this and there's no need to watch more of this section. I would move on to the internet historian. The last part of the half of the video is so important. There's 100% people in this community that have had their writing stolen by the last guy. Yeah. I mean, like, Gita was tweeting about this. Like, there's a lot of people often forget because we have so many fucking haters nowadays that, like, I have a shit ton of journalists that are in here all the time that are ride or die Hasanabi heads. And it's ironic because, like, well, they obviously love when I read their articles because, you know, it's fucking sick because I'm just reading their articles, right? And there are apparently these content creators that just, like, fucking rip their shit. You know what I mean? Which is kind of fucked up. Give them a shout out, you know? I would say, straight up, the one good thing about, like, ReactGate, which was, you know, led mostly by people that were just fucking haters in general or people that wanted to fucking farm clout. The good thing about the jokes, the ethical reacts jokes, okay? The one good thing is that, like, I take the time out and try to genuinely show what the video is now. Like, I'm very careful and very deliberate in the type of shit that I look at, and I give shout outs. I make sure that it's like people understand, you know, that we're watching someone else's video and like they should go check it out. Paid in exposure, don't complain. No, ironically, that is the problem. That's the problem with plagiarism. You're not paying an exposure. That's the issue. If you were to pay an exposure, then yes, technically, yeah, then it wouldn't be plagiarism because it would mean you're showing the actual fucking source material. That's literally the point with the fucking ethical reacts or reaction concepts versus fucking plagiarism. That's the whole point. Ironic, because like hella people are like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, you mean paid in exposure? And it's like, first of all, a lot of these videos do require exposure. That's the whole point. They're already made products, okay? Which is part of the reason why so many people don't have a fucking issue with like reactions in general. But as long as you fucking, you know, hype it up. And I do admit that there was times in the past where I wasn't, if Hasan has a million haters on one of them.
Evidence? One of his
anyway, we'll skip it to the internet historian. Is this the one? Is this the internet historian saga? I'm gonna skip the legal debacle. Wait, was there an XQC joke in there?
Man in Cave is about Floyd Collins, a cave explorer who in 1925 got trapped in a
watched this
cave.
video.
Nice one, Floyd. The video is an hour and 10 minutes long and pretty detailed, covering the events hour by hour as they happen. What a unique way of telling the story. The video implies a deep level of research and understanding, and that animation's pretty cool too. The video was uploaded on September 29th, 2022 and was extremely successful, garnering like 10 million views in the few months since it went online. It was deemed so entertaining it became the thing every Twitch streamer put on while they went and did something else to keep their audience busy. Ooh, that's a good chunk of change right there.
God damn.
But then in March of this year...
Respect, get your money up, XQC. Get your fucking money up, you son of a bitch. God damn, 1.2 million? That's crazy.
The video disappeared. Any links to the video?
We did, I remember. No, I watched this shit on stream too. Wait, why did this video get disappeared? Wait, hold up. I think I could tell you exactly when you watch this. Does anybody have my video? I'm sure someone uploaded it. Because I did watch this. Your reaction re-uploaded by another channel is one of the only original copies. Oh, let's go.
It took you to a blank page saying it was unavailable.
Look. Hasan Reactions, 400,000 views. Now, let me tell you something. XQC uploaded that shit onto his own fucking page. 1.2 million views. That's crazy. He did that. Me, Hasan Reactions is not me. That's a fan channel. Someone uploaded this fucking react where I'm chirping up a goddamn storm, watching this over the course of hours, taking my fucking shirt off, all this shit, uploaded it, 400,000 views. They made money off this. Which, by the way, get your money up. Not your funny up. Respect. That's all I'm going to say. Your react is so good, it was able to remain up and not be taken down. Best hair era?
National.
No, it's not true. Yeah, I mean, this was a great video. So who made it originally?
Available because of a copyright claim. Usually with really popular videos though, YouTube resolves this quickly to avoid negative attention, but this was down for a while, and then it stayed down. What's going on here? Let's look into this a bit. This video is no longer available due to a claim by Pro Sportority Limited doing business as Minute Media. That's what DBA means, by the way, aren't I clever? Minute Media is a publisher of digital content. One of their brands is Mental Floss, a digital news and entertainment site, which also has a YouTube channel. So, did he use some of their copyrighted images or the YouTube channel's footage? Well, it doesn't look like the channel has ever covered Floyd Collins. The Mental Floss website, however, has. In 2018, Lucas Riley wrote a story about the 1925 cave rescue that captivated the nation. Uh-oh. This article is an extremely detailed summary of the story of Floyd Collins. Uh-oh. In fact, it makes the unique choice of covering the events hour by hour. Oh, he didn't. He did not just...
Floyd tried to breathe calmly. His left arm was pinned underneath his torso, his right wedged by the rock ceiling above. Beneath him, sharp crystal shards dug into his skin. When he did attempt to shuffle, more gravel and rocks would tumble from above and pile onto his feet.
He should try untying his shoes, said one. No, we should send him down with a contortionist who's got a mallet and a chisel.
Hey, how about using dynamite? One clique formed, insisting that it was a great idea, till they started arguing about gas torches. But by far the most common suggestion, of course, was amputation. So he removes his suit, drapes himself in coveralls, and grabs a lamp. Whoa. But Floyd didn't really answer any of his questions. In fact, he was incoherent. So Miller took a few mental notes, and he left. Somehow, Homer mustered the strength to altogether wrench the cord from the other men's hands. The rope went slack. Homer, Floyd, and the rope lay limp on the cave floor. No progress had been made.
For the first time in YouTube history, a copyright claim is real. Internet historians stole Lucas Riley's article, used it as a script for a 70-minute video, gave him no credit, and uploaded it for money. But let's consider an alternative explanation, just to be fair. This was a real historical event. They're both telling the same true story, so of course they're going to be similar. That's a good point, you're very smart. But there's a difference between using the same sources or recounting the same history and telling the exact same story in the same way using the same same words, and if going hour by hour didn't make it obvious, the fact it copies the rest of the structure makes it blatant. The opening, which covers Floyd entering the cave, even uses the same image used at that point in the article. Soon after, when Floyd first becomes trapped, the article flashes back to Floyd's childhood. The video copies this narrative framing and does the same thing, flashing back after he's trapped, and even tells the same anecdotes about his past.
Floyd has been exploring the caves of Kentucky since he was merely 6 years old. And as he grew up, he gained a reputation.
Why is it different? What do you mean? He just like straight ripped the fucking article and passed it off as his own. That's the problem. Considering it's a real story that happened in the real world, if you were to literally explain the story in your own words, it would be fine. Let's say he read this article. Let's say internet historian read this entire article. He internalized it. Okay? Then maybe he read another article on this exact same issue. And then, off of memory, he recited these articles, okay? Off of memory, he doesn't have photographic memory. He basically tried to utilize his own language, his own style, and his own fucking seasoning to, like, retell this story. It is not going to be bar for bar, verbatim the same, which is precisely why it would be different. It would not be held to the same level of scrutiny. People would not say, oh, dude, you just went bar for bar. You went and playing the same thing.
For being a very daring caver. He would dive into some hole on one side of town and emerge miles away on someone else's property.
This one's interesting because the words are quite a bit different. Instead, it's copying the article visually by having him literally pop his head out like a gopher. You know how in the previous segments I've been showing all the really obvious examples to get the point across? Man in Cave is over an hour long.
The original is an article, though. Doesn't the animation add something to it? I think if he said that he's just like animating an article he found online and then showed the article and properly credited it, it would be fair. Does that make sense? Because like, I guess the point is like, you're passing it off as though you wrote that whole thing and it's someone else who wrote it.
I showed the funniest examples, we'd be here all day.
Gerald knew more about cave rescues than most. In fact, just that summer prior, he had helped untangle Floyd from a different snag. Everybody was shaken by the experience. Burden fainted as he crawled towards the exit. Most of the other men had to be carried away. World of Tanks is not only the best game I have ever played.
Okay, that one was a joke. Sorry, I couldn't resist. There are some differences between the two, though. Internet Historian's video has mistakes. He gets the weight of the rock pinning Collins's leg down wrong. He says it's 33 pounds, while the article lists 27. Every credible source I can find has it listed as around 27 pounds, give or take, and the Wikipedia page lists 26. The rock weighs about 26.5 pounds. How do I know this? We still have it. We've weighed it. It's 26.5 pounds. How did he make this mistake when all his sources, including the one he was plagiarizing, say otherwise?
It's almost like when he was loosely rewriting the script to seem more original, he accidentally changed some of the facts of the story. Or maybe it was on purpose. It's slightly harder to say it was plagiarized now. I mean, how could he be ripping anyone off if he got the facts wrong? Man in Cave is also a little confused about the fucking cave?
In 1917, Collins discovered a beautiful cave full of stalagmites on his family's land, which he named Crystal Cave. They tried to turn it into a tourist attraction, but this didn't pan out. He then tried looking for a new cave on his neighbor's property, and this is the cave he got trapped in while clearing out, which was later...
There's a popular YouTube channel called Oversimplified that straight up ripped off Ken Burns' Prohibition documentary. I imagine most of their videos are copied like this. That's pretty wild. Yeah, it is talking about Internet Historian, yeah.
Named Sand Cave once he became trapped. This is covered in the article, as well as being common knowledge about this story. Internet Historian treats them like the same one cave and calls it Sand Cave. So now the story has insane shit, like Floyd...
For the record, I don't know about the oversimplified take that chatter said. I just read it out loud. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've never watched it.
Advertising Sand Cave to tourists, which literally never happened because he died in it before it could open for business. That's what the story is about.
This isn't nitpicking. Okay, it is. But this is the cave in Man...
People should pay writers when they adapt their works too, though, right? Works too, right? That is what happens, yes. Like, for example, I can't just like go look at a fucking article about George Santos and be like, well, this is a good article. Let me go adapt it on my own to make it into a screenplay. If I do that, then I have to pay the journalist that wrote the article. You can't just like, you know, change some of the fucking words and then be like, I wrote this. It don't work that way.
in cave. It would be nice if he got the cave right. This is the place most people my age are going to learn about Floyd Collins, and it's a shame they're learning history that's not true.
Here's a funny thing I noticed, because I'm one of those weird cave people. We prefer the term amateur speleologist, but he keeps using this picture to represent the grotto Floyd is trying to reach.
On the other side is this. Until he found...
What? This is obviously directly stolen. Are people okay? Has anyone ever looked into his other videos thoroughly? I just saw a comment under his Cost of Concordia video indicating that the segment around 23:30 is plagiarized from his Vanity Fair piece. Historian All Day Saturday rescuers searched for the people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple was found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept through the crash and woke up unable to exit the cabin. Another night to remember. Brian Burrow, Vanity Fair. All Day Saturday, rescue workers found across the Is this a reading comprehension thing? Because I've seen some sizable defense of this type of behavior, and I just genuinely don't understand what's not to get there. I think this is the most satisfying answer. They just don't know what plagiarism is. Wait, what? Wait, let me read it. Historian, All Day Saturday, rescuers searched for people on the ship. On Sunday morning, a South Korean couple was found in their cabin, safe but shivering. They had slept through the crash and woke up unable to exit her cabin. Another right to remember, Brian Burrow, Vanity Fair. All Day Saturday, rescue workers fanned out across the ship looking for survivors. Sunday morning, they found a pair of South Korean newlyweds still in their stateroom, safe but shivering. They had slept through the impact, waking to find the hallway so steeply inclined that they couldn't safely navigate it. Yeah, I think... Are you like a big fan of the historian guy? Yeah, I think that's a completely different sentence. Only similarity is that they describe the same event. No, it's not. No. The sentence structure is like almost identical with like a couple of words being taken out of it. I don't understand. Sentence structure is the same. He also quite literally uses certain colloquialisms that are obviously specific to the writer, Brian Burrow, who says in that moment, not to say that this colloquialism is just his own, obviously, but in this circumstance, using safe but shivering would imply that it's like pretty much a lift. Safe but shivering in that circumstance is a literary spin that the writer put on it. Some people think unless it's bar for bar, it isn't plagiarism. I guess like it wasn't paraphrased as hard, or even if you paraphrase, you still need to put quotations in it. I don't fucking. Based on internet historian's reaction, he knew it was wrong too. No, that's a different story.
Hollow.
This isn't a picture of that hollow. There are no pictures. No one's even seen it apart from Floyd. And because I'm insane, I recognize this picture. It's from the website of Crystal Onyx Cave in Kentucky, which is about 12 miles away from the mammoth cave system the video is talking about. This cave is often confused with other nearby caves because the names are similar and they're so close by. So it's an understandable mistake to use this image instead of one from the right cave system, but I do find it really fun.
I think my controversial opinion, and people will get mad at me for this, is that like I don't think it's that damning. I think people will take this super seriously and be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? I think, like, especially if it's not being, like, lifted from smaller content creators. I don't know. It's YouTube. Am I wild? I don't know. I might be wrong. I might totally be off base for this. What the fuck are you talking about? It's just, like, I guess the difference is that if you're, like, born into YouTube existing, this is, like, a fucking serious platform where the expectations are that like the content that you're watching is like well sourced and well researched and stuff like that, whereas you should still properly cite it. Some people watch the internet historian videos, we're never going to read the article. I feel like it's setting a dangerous precedent if you don't do something about it. Fair.
Funny, a picture being used to represent part of Mammoth is from a site whose title reads, "We're not Mammoth." Like, they tried to warn you, buddy.
And I saw people congratulate this video for the effort that went into it. I assume they're talking about the animation, which is pretty decent. Internet Historian's team did a good job with this, especially considering its length, a compliment I've received myself many times. That's one reason why this is all so disappointing. This could have been good and not been stolen. We can do both.
Riley is a really talented writer and researcher. He was the article articles editor for Mental Floss back when it had a physical magazine, with folks who worked on it calling him its beating heart. Riley is a very well-regarded, award-winning writer with a skill for telling gripping stories, and I can tell Internet Historian agrees with me, so it's a shame he gave him no credit for his work, even as it contributed to what must have been a huge amount of income for him, doubtless more than Riley ever made for writing it in the first place. Internet Historian sometimes cites his sources when they come up. He'll have text saying where it's from, and that's a good practice, but this makes his choice to never cite or mention Riley obvious. He's trying to hide it. Sometimes the way he tries to look like he's done research and wrote this video himself is very funny. There's a bit where he's reading the article out loud, as usual, then pauses and acts like he's about to read something else and just keeps reading the fucking article.
Near the final...
Isn't it deeply unethical to take other people's work and then make tons of money from it? Yeah, I think I can't tell if this is like a own about React stuff, but you're not gonna catch on the fucking Hasanabi Piker YouTube page. Go ahead. No, it is unethical for sure. I mean, you're literally taking this guy's work. It feels pretty terrible, in my opinion, that you're taking this dude's work and just like reading it off as your own. Especially when I feel like the solution is just to like, I don't know, not do that. That's literally how all creative work functions. You can make something and you sell it to a publisher who retains all rights. No, I understand that, but come on. There's a difference between copy pasting a fucking script that someone else wrote in 2018.
Final squeeze, large cracks had formed. The ceiling was beginning to droop. Alright, so the following is a recounting of events from one of Carmichael's men, Casey Jones. Casey and another worker spent about an hour in the cave, but he heard Collins moaning ahead. So he pushed himself on. He managed to make it through the squeeze and he arrived at the 10-foot pit. Seeing Floyd trapped, he tried to ignore the pebbles that were tumbling behind him.
Internet Historian wants you to think he's telling you a story he made after doing a lot of research.
Historical facts can only be reworded in so many ways. Bruh. You are entirely wrong. It is completely, dude, the style of like going hour by hour, stylistic choices there. Like the literary stylistic choices there are directly lifted from the original artist, including the research. Like every aspect of this is a yoink. Is a yoinkerson. There's an insanely large gap between all art is derivative and stealing the hard work of others and taking credit for their work that people don't seem to get. Yeah. Like if you made something, if you went to school, you learned a specific style and you developed your own specific style, and then I just like copy pasted it and pawned it off as my own and then told everybody I'm selling these fucking photos. Like I just took a photo of it and now I'm selling it as though it's mine. You'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, there's a difference between yoink and twist versus a yoink and hide that you yoinked it.
He doesn't want to read.
I straight up thought he wrote this video. Like I thought Internet Historian wrote this
you a good
video.
Story he found. He wants to pretend he wrote it. But this, the obvious fact it's plagiarism and it's wrong, that's the easy stuff. What's interesting is what happened next. I've been standing on my feet for ages. I'm gonna have a sit down. That's better. This is my living room where I keep all the books I pretend to have read, and also my board games. Yes, I'm one of those people. I even have a board game.
Where does Daily Dose of the Internet fall in all this? Dude, Daily Dose is the most ethical fucking sorcerer of all time. What are you talking about? He literally scours the internet, finds videos, goes to the original content owner, and asks if he can post them on his video. He has an entire team that does that. It's all perfectly cited. Absolutely zero people think, and he, I think, pays them. Absolutely zero people think that Daily Dose of the Internet actually made those videos. What do you mean? Yeah, he buys the rights to it too. It's not like it's not like people are going, oh wow, this squirrel doing a backflip. I can't believe Daily Dose of the Internet found this squirrel doing a backflip. How many crazy things can one guy find all around the world in a matter of days? Like absolutely zero people think that. The entire point of it is it's your Daily Dose of the Internet. Yeah.
Game about caving. This is quite hard to find nowadays, so I had to get it from Germany. They love board games there because they're not afraid to look one another in the eye. I can't wait to spiel this cave game. For my money, that's the best joke I've ever written. Hold on, we're doing a video about plagiarism. Let's get this set up properly. But then... This is a whole style of video now, and by style, I mean one person did it first and then a bunch of boring people ripped her off. Stealing from lots of places is inspiration, but stealing from one place is plagiarism, unless you call it the bread tube style, and then it's fine. I don't even know what a bread tube is, I just woke
Bisexual lighting. All right, is the rest of this important or should I skip it?
up one day and was told that I was in it and that people hated me for being in it. I don't even know what it is. Anyway, when someone from Mental Floss noticed the plagiarism and filed a copyright claim, Internet Historian tweeted about the video's disappearance, but in a kinda suspicious way. He obviously knew why it got claimed, but he chose not to say why, so his audience could freely speculate amongst themselves for hundreds of posts about all the ridiculous reasons YouTube takes things down. Some of them noticed Pro Sportority is based out of Israel and got anti-Semitic about it, but ironically, so it's fine. What an interesting audience he's built. All this needless speculation has helped to create a smokescreen. People assume the video was taken down for a bullshit reason and there is no clear.
Bro, I remember one time being like, I think Internet Historian is like kind of edgy, right? I said that one fucking time, years ago. And his fan base literally was like, remember when a song called him an alt-right white supremacist Nazi and tried to cancel him? Literally, I was like, he strikes me as a guy with like unique politics, okay? And I think it was like a lot of people in the chat saying it to me, and I was just like, yeah, who knows? And nobody let that go. It was literally fucking years and years of motherfuckers being like, you're trying to cancel him. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not trying to fucking cancel him at all. What the fuck? I was not.
Explanation when there is one and he didn't give it to them on purpose.
Internet Historian has taken videos down before. A lot of them, in fact, like dozens. None of these seem to be because of plagiarism. He says he just doesn't think they're very good anymore. I think he got a bit of what we in the business call trolls remorse. Like, oh, maybe this video was inappropriate and normal people would judge me for it. And he got rid of that video that's just a bunch of Tucker Carlson clips and reading a hentai in an extremely racist.
Wait, Kurt Eichenwald sees the day? That shit was awesome. That's an awesome story. I don't think you guys know that story. It's a wild story.
Racist Japanese man impression. That's not advertiser friendly, and we want those World of Tanks bucks, don't we? But since his fans are, you know, normal cool people, they saved all those old videos, and there are several channels dedicated purely to re-upload.
It's a wild story. Let's just put it that way. Anyway, no, not the rape one. Shut up. I don't know what the fucking rape one was. Kurt Eichenwald literally gets caught with like a shit ton of hentai and then says what was it? He was saying that he was like actually researching it or something. There's also another famous line I remember where he was like, you're going to, fuck, there's so much there. There's unironically like a crazy, there is actually a whole crazy, he used to get seizures and people were trying to give him seizures, which is kind of fucked up. Not kind of fucked up, very fucked up. And then it led to a very funny moment where he's just like, I don't think it was actually his wife that wrote this, but like his wife literally was like, this is Kurt Eichenwald's wife. You actually gave him a seizure and you'll be hearing from my our like law enforcement or something. It was crazy. There was a lot of crazy shit.
Uploading all his old inconvenient stuff, and some of them tried to re-upload Man in Cave and instantly got hit with a copyright claim as well because the video is in YouTube's system now. Here's a screenshot that was posted of one of these claims. The infringing video blatantly and unlawfully plagiarized verbatim text from our article, and the placement, pacing, and presentation of content is almost—
Bro, I didn't even realize you could do that, by the way. That's crazy. Like, I didn't realize, motherfuckers, that, you know, they shifted from medium to medium, dog. That's wild.
Identical to the article. Speaking from experience, normally claims aren't anywhere near this detailed. The article's owners are not messing around. This is how we found out about the plagiarism. Kat was browsing her drama Reddits, as she does a lot, and she saw a post with this smoking gun in it. It's amazing how easy it is for a story like this to not get spread to a wider audience, even when it's for a video this popular. The furthest the story has got so far is a thread proving it, just
I can't believe you reacted so hard to save the React re-upload channels. Yeah, that's kind of wild, isn't it? No, well, XQC has it too still, so I don't think so. Right? Or did XQC get clapped too? XQC Cave? Is it... Wait, is it gone? Wait, I think XQC's... Wait, did XQC's entire channel get got or something? No, it didn't. Wait a minute. 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 Hold up. No, he's not banned. Wait, there ain't no fucking way, dog. There ain't no fucking way, dog. Emaru's reaction is still up, but I guess it's because it's like 70K. Maybe. Or did we react to it afterwards or something? Oh, XUC privated it? Oh.
Sitting in a random subreddit with like 90 upvotes. If Kat hadn't seen this, I wouldn't be talking about it, and you wouldn't know it happened either. So, thanks, Kat. You're so cool. I love you. Most YouTubers in this situation would fight a copyright claim publicly, arguing their case where everyone could see it, which would force YouTube to take notice and do something about it. People at YouTube on Twitter all the time and get responses and see things fixed. I once tweeted randomly about an old test video I deleted getting copyright claimed somehow. I didn't even at YouTube about it, and they still found it and asked me for more information.
No, Asmongold was taken down for fucking DMCA. Or no, this is the original. This is not the Asmongold video. This is the original video, chat. No. Asmongold's React was not taken down. It's the original video. Your chatter linked it to me as from his subreddit, and I thought it was his, but it's not. It's just that's the OG video. Also, that banner is fucking hilarious. All right, let's get
They're pretty diligent about responding to people messaging them on social media with problems. Internet Historian can't start a public case about this because he is in the wrong. He stole an article for money, and bringing attention to it would just broadcast to his audience he did 70 minutes of plagiarism. Right now, not many people know about this, although some of his viewers have noticed how strange it is he's avoiding talking about it. Why isn't he telling his audience who to get mad at and go after? Why isn't he giving his completely normal fans marching orders? Because he ripped someone off and he doesn't want you to find out, that's why. In May, 2 months after the video disappeared, a new version was uploaded, claiming to be a re-upload of the previous one. But then, 2 days later, it went private. On the Internet Historian Reddit post about the re-upload, the big guy himself wrote about there being some complications. Again, being vague about what's going on. This new version would remain private for about 2 months. It's not clear why. In July, while I was making this video, it finally came back up, but only unlisted. You can watch it, but it doesn't show up in a search or your recommendations. You can't watch this video now unless you know it exists and go looking for it and get the link from somewhere else. This new version has quite a few changes. It opens with this new clip explaining what happened, but in the vaguest way possible.
Sorry for the re-upload, fellas. The original got copy struck.
Again, we have a comment about it being copy struck, but no explanation why. He's still hiding what happened, in a pretty sneaky way this time. You see, this graphic of the copy strike has been edited. The notice on the video actually looks like this. It shows who made the copyright claim, but obviously he doesn't want people looking up the company behind it, because then people will find out why the video is unavailable. So now he's editing screenshots to try to hide what he did. The re-upload uses mostly the same animation and tells the same story, but lots of the voiceover has been rewritten to try to sound...
To be fair, he could say he doesn't want, like, to draw ire to the copy strike holder from his, like, passionate fan base, and that's why he hit it or something.
Less like the article. Here's a section I showed you earlier.
His left arm was pinned underneath his torso, his right wedged by the rock ceiling above.
Now here's the HD remaster.
His right arm is wedged against the roof of the cave, and his left is stuck in place under...
Young Thug should hire Hasanabi? Oh, you mean Young... The hugs you give. Truly humble under God. I know. I wanted to change his work to make it different, you know what I'm saying?
Underneath his torso.
He flipped the order he talked about the arms and reworded how he talked about them. He hasn't really solved the overall plagiarism, he just changed the words more than last time.
Beneath him, sharp crystal shards dug into his skin. He can feel the sharp crystals on the ground poking into his back. Floyd tried to breathe calmly. Floyd took slow, steady breaths, so he removes his suit, drapes himself in coveralls, and grabs a lamp. Miller thinks for a moment, then says, "Yeah, all right." He grabs a lantern.
In the past, we've seen people reword stuff they stole and hope they don't get caught. But now we're getting a special treat. We get to watch someone go back and try to change it even more. Like, no, we already know you stole.
Yeah, bro, this is kind of a wild thing for him to do, honestly, because it's like, then it's just so damning. Like, I'm legit kind of shocked that he did this. I thought he was like a solid ass fucking writer. Like I legit thought he wrote this entirely. Like I thought he was very good at writing.
All this now, you can't take it back and pretend you didn't.
But Floyd didn't really answer any of his questions. In fact, he was incoherent. So Miller took a few mental notes, and he left. But Floyd didn't really answer any of his questions. There's nothing Miller can do. So he hurriedly turns around. Homer, Floyd, and the rope lay limp on the cave floor. Floyd fell back down. Homer, Miller, Burden, and the other three men were flat on their backs.
I feel skedaddled a little bit and bamboozled.
Get across how much worse written this version is. Riley's article has a chilling section about Floyd spending an entire day trapped screaming for help. He began a tormenting routine. Sleep, wake, scream. Sleep, wake, scream. Sleep, wake, scream. Minutes melted into hours. His voice disappeared. His arms tingled numb. Pain radiated up his ankle. This is vivid storytelling. I can feel myself going insane, even imagining being trapped there for 25 hours. It's a really good passage. Internet historian liked it too, so he stole it.
He's at the start of a very tiring loop. Sleep, wake, yell. Sleep, wake, yell. Hours passed. His voice gave in. Arms tingled numb. Pain radiating up his ankle. Here he remained in the dark for the next 23 hours.
Now, in the remake, he has to tell the same story, but with completely new words, so we get this.
So there's Floyd in the dark, yelling out for help. Yelling into the pitch black. After a while, his voice would give out, and he would have to sleep to recuperate. He would then wake sometime later, remember where he is, and begin yelling again for help. Here he remained in the dark for the next 23 hours.
It's just not as effective. The feeling of being stuck in that cycle for dozens of hours is gone. It's quite difficult to take a story you got from an article and...
I mean, if you were good enough as a writer, if you were solid enough as a writer, then you wouldn't need to plagiarize. And if you plagiarize, it's never going to be as good as the original. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why most people plagiarize in the first place is because they're not that good.
And tell it again without using any of the words you liked.
Floyd has been exploring the caves of Kentucky since he was merely 6 years old.
Oh, I guess I can't mention Kentucky now. That makes it obvious. Better re-record.
Floyd started his caving career at the tender age of 6.
Some of the changes give away how uncreative he was, just how much he relied on Riley's work even with the most basic shit. He used his words about someone's hands being bruised and purple.
Parts were harder to navigate than before, especially now with their bruised and purple hands.
So in the new version, this had to be changed.
Parts were harder to navigate than before, doubly so with their bruised and rock-shredded hands.
Why would you not just write a new description of some hands in the first place? This is so lazy. What is wrong with this guy? And despite all these changes, the factual errors about the cave and the rock are still the same. It's like this version was made to annoy me. It's especially hard to make major changes when you already made the animations. It's almost impossible to remove Lucas's influence without doing so much work it's not even worth it. For example, the gopher section has been completely removed since it was directly copying an anecdote from the article. He's replaced it with a new segment, which is just C-tier reference humor.
He would go off on his own, disappearing into the caves for many hours at a time. Have you seen that movie, The Descent? It was a lot like that.
Holy crap, Lois, this is just like that movie. Some of Riley's article was too short and simple to meaningfully change, so those parts have just been taken out.
And all they could do was leave for now and reassess. Everybody was shaken by the experience. Burden fainted as he crawled towards the exit. Most of...
Bro, I can't believe he just like fucking went bar for bar on this shit, dude. He went through it like aggro style.
The other men had to be
been dumbed
down like
cut were all the ad for the people who enjoyed the original. People in the comments and on the Reddit page are asking why he changed it and why all their favorite lines are missing. They don't know why because he didn't tell them. Why is the new version of the video unlisted and not public? Well, it could be because it's a lot worse, but mainly by being so much worse, it can't.
Hasan has actually never contributed to an argument. True. I don't like to argue. I like to agree. That's why I'm agreeing with you right now.
Kind of gives away what he did. This video's fans obviously want it back up. But if it goes back up and it's obviously much worse written now, the 10+ million people who saw it the first time, potentially even more than once, will wonder why it's different and look into why and maybe find out.
But if it stays down, people will wonder why it's down and look into why and find out. It's like he's trying to delay the inevitable wider discovery of what he did by letting the video exist, but as quietly as possible, so no one wonders where the video went, but not too many people see it and notice the differences. It's a precarious situation, and I don't envy him. But he does deserve it. Right now, he looks like a plagiarist and a liar, and a coward who's willing to ruin his own video and let it gather dust unlisted in the corner to try and hide what he did.
To be fair, the new version now actually cites Riley's article. Whenever a section was too difficult to change, but too significant to remove, he keeps it in and cites the article at the bottom. In the original, there were several places where he quoted the same sources Riley quoted, and in this version, just to be safe, he also cites the article to make it clear that's where he got it. The description of this version also acknowledges the talented Mr. Riley and links to his work. This would have been cool if he'd done all this the first time and not tried to hide it, but this is like if...
I mean, low-key, even if he did it from the jump, I think Lucas Riley would still probably have the right to be like, what the fuck? You just, like, literally posted this, like, my article. I mean, they might actually enjoy it, maybe like it, depending on if they're a fan of Internet Historian or not, probably. But then, ironically, he would have at least, like, given him exposure, and the likelihood that people will get mad at that, is infinitely lower. You know what I mean? Love to pay for my dinner with exposure. I mean, this is where we come to the paid with exposure argument and the boundaries of paid with exposure. The reason why the overwhelming majority of internet content creators unironically do not care if you react to their videos or not, regardless of what some very loud internet content creators who no one is really reacting to will make this their lives mission, is because exposure is the name of the game when you are a YouTuber. When you make a product and you put it out there, you want as many people as possible to see it, especially when they come back to your channel, especially when a different content creator is showing it to their own community, so that they turn around and go to your fucking channel and watch all your other goddamn videos. There's a reason for why that's different, for example, than, you know, taking another medium and slapping it on here. Does that make sense? The difference here, of course, is that Lucas Riley is a writer. So they make their money off of writing. They make their money off of literally having people adapt their writing. Right? You would normally, under other circumstances, have to, like, not just cite it, but most likely go to them and ask them for permission in this situation. On YouTube, however, it's a little bit different. The reason why it's a little bit different on YouTube is because if you're fucking rewatching a video, as long as it's not a one-to-one market substitute, this is not the legal boundary, this is not the legal definition. Obviously, it's still absolutely a copy strike. Like right now, hbomberguy could turn around and fucking hit me right now with a DMCA. He won't, because he's my friend, and I told him I was going to watch parts of his video already. Well, actually told him it's impossible for me to react to his video because it's fucking 4 hours long. But there are parts of this video that I want to react to, that I want to talk about, right? Things that are unique that he has uncovered. Now, he could do that. But the reason why he won't is, for the most part, the way that this process works, the way that it works for YouTubers and content creators in general, is that as long as you are using parts of it and then also giving proper credit, most content creators are never going to get mad at you for it. How long have you actually known them? For years. Yeah. Long ass fucking time. I think there's a difference between, like, pawning off someone else's work as your own. Absolutely zero people think that I'm like, when I watch a video like this, I usually don't upload it. But even if one of my fan channels uploads it on their own, nobody thinks that, like, I wrote the video, you know? If I were to, like, take all of these bars verbatim and repeat it as though I came up with them, then it'd be different.
Philip re-uploaded a very slightly changed version of the plagiarized videos and just put "thanks to Boomstick Gaming" in the description. It's too late to hide what he's done, though that hasn't stopped him from trying. Oh, late breaking update. A couple weeks ago, the Man in Cave re-upload became public again. I wondered how he would stop people noticing its weird changes. Then, days later, he uploaded this year's new video, so people's attention is onto the next thing now. The only people who really noticed the video coming back are the, hardcore fans. This was a real clever boy move. If I wanted to sneak my weirdly changed re-upload back out without too many people noticing, this is how I'd do it, and all I'd have to do next was hope no one ever makes the video I'm making right now. Oops.
Right, my eyes have gone fuzzy, so it's time to get back up. Ah, my knees really hurt too. Okay, I threw out an IKEA poang to make room for this beanbag chair, and it's rubbish. I love sacks full of balls, but not this much. Don't get a beanbag chair. Oh, God! Jesus! Hey, the mic's still out of frame. That's nice, that never happens. I don't know, a proper apology would be nice, and maybe an explanation for why it happened. As far as I can tell, this is the only video where he's just ripped something off like this. I hope. You know, why did he do it for this one? Really, I just want to know where he got £33. I'm a simple man with simple needs. Yorkshire puddings with a little bit of gravy on top, and explanations for discrepancy. Meantime, and how do I destroy it? And it even tells half the stuff I covered in this video. Description. This styles, that one's really good. And it even tells you which styles it's doing video time. All the way end of conclusion. You've probably guessed what's coming. Where's the part where he turns out to be on a green screen and the video's about someone else? Congratulations, you figured it out. You know all my tricks. The student becomes the master. Master of shit? It was real the whole time! Ah! Last time I wanted to research one thing and tripped and learned too much. This time I had the breakdown and worked backwards. We understand why this shit is wrong now and the damage it can do. The piles of money people make from stealing other people's words and ideas and work. But there's one group more important than historians or journalists or anyone else with a real job, and that's gay people. You know what's worse than stealing from established journalists who in the end are doing okay? Stealing from small queer writers or creators from marginalized groups who weren't even paid for their work in the first place. Stealing from the writings of dead people who passed away doing the activism you pretend to do. Stealing from the very people who fund your videos, the people you claim to be defending. This video is about James Somerton.
Who's this guy? Please react harder. This guy's fans on Twitch are fucking insane. So who is James Somerton?
James Somerton is a gay YouTuber with a degree in business administration who frequently refers to himself as a marketing expert.
I'm a YouTuber,
Damn, it's like he fucking gave me the answer right away.
marketing expert, and film school grad. I'm also gay.
Cool. In 2014, he briefly made videos about geek stuff, reviewing Marvel movies and so on. Several years later, when video essays became a popular format, he started making those, with a focus on queer characters in media and LGBT film history, and occasionally anime, such as this really successful video about the fascism of Attack on Titan, which has mysteriously disappeared. Where did it go? I wonder what happened there. Somerton is doing great by the standards of queer YouTube in terms of...
You say he made a decent AOT analysis video? Brother, I think we're about to find out he didn't make the video. I don't know. All I'm saying is, I think we're about to find out he might not have made that video. I'm just saying, it seems like the 1 hour and 50 minutes thus far have been pointing to whoever is going to be in the next hour, 2 hours. Holy shit, it's a 4-hour video. 2 hours is going to be dedicated to the guy who didn't actually make... Okay, let's just...
Views, ad revenue, sponsorships, Patreon income, and donations on his live streams, the man is doing extremely well financially in a field where people generally struggle to do this full time. In many ways, James Somerton is a success story our entire community should be proud of. Not to rain on this pride parade, but whenever I saw a video by James in my recommendations, I would have to stop watching because it quickly became clear to me he didn't know what he was talking about. The first video of his I ever saw was about Disney's relationship with the queer community, and in it he claims Disney set up an event called Gay Night and claimed to give the profits to charity, but actually kept the money.
During the 1990s, Disney's parks also tried profiting from their LGBT fans by creating Gay Night, a one-night-a-year event at the parks where LGBT folk would be the main guests. It was a big hit. Initially, the revenue was all to be donated to the Aid for AIDS Foundation, but by 1995, donations to the charity had dried up. Disney was keeping all of the profits for themselves.
He's misremembering a really well-known event. Gay Night was not set up by Disney, they didn't sanction it. A travel agency rented the park out for the night, and they kept the money they were supposed to have donated. This is a bit sloppy, but then he claims the more progressive CEO Bob Iger expanded Gay Nights into full Gay Day events.
Under his stewardship, Disney switched from the once-a-year Gay Night at Disney parks to the full Gay Days event, rebranding the occasion into a more family-friendly event.
See, this is why you can't trust gay content creators, brother. They lie to you.
Fair.
Now, obviously, Iger couldn't rebrand something Disney wasn't doing and had no control over. Gay Days is actually a completely separate event, which is also unofficial and unsanctioned by Disney. Also, it started before Gay Night, and 15 years before Iger became CEO. It's kind of impressive how wrong this was. He's giving fucking Disney credit for the actions of independent queer people. It really downplays the work that people put into organizing stuff like gay days. It's super disappointing, honestly. The first official Disney Pride night.
I thought, I'm not gonna lie, I legit thought every day was gay day at Disney. That shit is gay as fuck. It's so gay. It's been gay. Like, it's not new, man. It's been gay. Have you seen Ursula? The fuck?
Happened this year, 3 years after he made this video. That's how far off the mark he was on this. Whenever I saw another Summerton video in the wild, I'd give it another shot and quickly have to give up again. In his Yuri on Ice video, he claimed the show never went into explicitly gay territory because it aired early in the evening on Japanese television, and there's a law on the books preventing showing homosexuality that early.
Japan has certain laws, such as what time of night a queer-centric
Okay, that hair is...
show can actually be aired on TV. This show was slated for an earlier time slot in the night because it's first and foremost a sports anime. In order for the quiet part to be as loud as the creator wanted, it would have to have had a much later time slot than the network wanted.
This is a common myth made up by Western fans of the show to explain why it wasn't gayer. They wanted to, but it was illegal. How convenient. But that law doesn't work that way.
Okay, to be fair, that's like classic anime, dude. That is literally weebs to a fucking T. That's Western fans of anime down to a T. Isn't there an anime that was, I saw it on Twitter. There was like an anime with all ladies, right? Like all little schoolgirls or whatever. And apparently people in the Western world have like turned it into like a lesbian fanfic. And they talk about how like it's all women because it's like pro women or whatever. But it's I think the real reason is because what? I don't know anything. I don't remember the actual tweet. If I could remember it, I'd pull it up. A lot of those animes don't have like male characters in them because they don't want they would lose their fucking minds if they saw their favorite girl that they love interacting with a man.
Way, and even if it did, Yuri on Ice aired at 2:30 AM in the morning, the gay witching hour. They could do whatever they wanted. But now I see people continuing to spread this lie, linking Summerton's video as proof it's true. James is helping to reinforce misinformation by not checking whatever he hears on Twitter before he spreads it, which is a bit concerning. Basically, I can't really watch James's videos because I care a lot about the stuff he talks about, and I can tell he's not really checked what he's saying, and that really gets to me. Normally in this situation, I would just not watch his videos and live my life, but over the last couple of years, Summerton has been repeatedly accused of plagiarism. In response, Summerton has claimed he never ripped off anyone, and the times he did weren't even that bad anyway.
If I had been plagiarizing videos, I wouldn't have a channel.
Uh-oh, I feel like he's gonna be caught plagiarizing videos.
I would be called out all the time by people saying he stole my shit, but I don't plagiarize. The one time that there actually was plagiarism, it was by mistake, and I fixed it immediately, and it is no longer in my video. And the other two accusations, one was silly.
That's an interesting way of saying you didn't do it.
When 3 or 4 separate videos have 3 or 4 separate plagiarism controversies attached. There's not 3 or 4.
Summerton is telling the truth here. There are not 3 or 4 accusations. Whenever these allegations are brought up, however, a fan of his will normally pop up to accuse them of harassing a gay man and claim this is all part of a deliberate homophobic
I feel like he's harassing a gay man and is actually doing a deliberate homophobic
campaign against a queer creator. And as an open bisexual who knows what the internet is like, I'm vigilant to the possibility the phobes are making a fuss about nothing again to take down a fellow gay boy. It does happen, so keeping...
That's why I like taking down a gay man a couple pegs, you know what I mean? That's why I like this part of the video. I'm just saying.
This possibility in mind, I looked at what he'd been accused of for myself, weighed up all the evidence as objectively as I could, and it quickly became clear he did do it. He's a massive plagiarist. In fact, there's a bunch of stuff no one else has found yet. He's just convinced his audience to attack people when they notice. And the worst part is, they do it in the name of defending a gay creator, when many of the people he has financially benefited from stealing from are queer themselves. I've never seen anyone try to put together a full explanation of what exact solid body of it contradicted out it being, shall we? Summerton uploaded Evil Queens, a queer look at Disney history, a 1 hour and 8-minute video about Disney's relationship with the queer community. This original upload of the video has since been deleted for reasons which will become clear. As the video reached its audience, some viewers began noticing similarities between the video and the book Tinkerbells and Evil Queens by Sean P. Griffin.
Damn! He just straight ripped the book. At least he read a book. Just saying.
James opens with a present day.
Also, it's kind of brilliant. Wait, what the fuck?
Example of Disney being.
Oh my God. Is that. I know him. This is my friend. I think this is Michael Cimino. Anyway, it's also top of the hour. And I'm going to hit you with a 3-minute ad break. Love Victor, dude, is your friend? Yes. Yeah, we work out at the same gym. No, that's Cycle Mamino. Nice, dude. Disney expert here. That's not your friend. That's an actor. Common mistake. Yeah, I think it's actor Michael Cimino. Don't you work out at home? No, I work out at my friend's home.
Bad about gay content on their platforms, and then says we need to explore Disney's history of doing this. The next 45 minutes are almost word for word taken from Griffin's book.
Okay, what I was going to say is, dude, if you're going to plagiarize, doing it off of a book is so fucking smart. Because unless the author literally watches your YouTube video, okay, who the fuck else on YouTube is reading books, dog? Who? No one reads shit. That's why they're on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But this guy got caught. Yeah, because fucking hbomberguy is a nerd.
Fantasy is often described as a method of escape from the trials and tribulations of everyday reality. Living in a society that has outlawed homosexual desire, categorized it as a medical Shmi is constantly at Hook's side, and although Hook is the maniacal master of the relationship, Shmi is obviously his prospects brighten, though, when he overhears of a young man cub who is wandering alone in the jungle.
God damn! Wait, this motherfucker just did a book reading. What the hell? Yo! He's just reading the book. What the fuck? Don't you steal from Capital? All the time. All the time. Except that's socialism, so it's allowed. If you want to read someone's book for an audience, you make an audio book. Well, bro did it. He did an audio book, except he doesn't even have like fun graphics on. At least Internet Historian took an article and then slapped like editing on it. This guy's just sitting in front of his Funko Pops and reading it. What the hell?
He whispers to himself,
"How delightful,"
and vows to arrange a...
I spoke too soon. That was fire. He did an edit. That's an edit. I spoke too soon.
Rendezvous with the boy.
Most of this video is just James reading a book into the camera.
In the number, Ursula uses various methods to convince Ariel to sell her soul, from looking sorry and saint-like to shimmying madly in excitement.
Throughout this video, James uses parts of the book where Griffin quotes someone else. Like here, this is from an essay by Cynthia Erb. James just keeps reading and doesn't tell you he's quoting it.
Okay, you laugh, but there are literally Twitch streamers who just read public domain books on stream. Wait, what do you mean? That's like entirely different. One, it's public domain. Two, you understand that they're reading a public domain book. They're not like hiding it, right? That is entirely legal. And also, like, even if I were to sit here and read a fucking entire book, I read articles all the time on the stream. Hello? All the time. It's like half of what I do is read articles and then engage in commentary. There's a reason why journalists love that shit instead of hate that shit. They love that shit so much, they sometimes also come on the stream to talk about the articles that they've written. Sometimes they stay at my house while they're writing their new articles because I'm reading an article. Everybody knows that. You know what I mean? It's like, technically, a lot of these people don't understand it online, but it's almost like I'm reacting to their article. You know what I mean? I'm reacting to their article. I'm getting them paid with exposure, and they love that shit. The difference, of course, is that, like, everybody knows that's not my work. I didn't do the journalism. I read the journalism that someone else did. I mean, that's how news media operates, for the record. It's just, when my teacher asks me to read the book to the class, I tell her to stop doing illegal things.
Anyone, and even changes it slightly, almost like he knows it's wrong and
you should copy paste it into a notepad and pass it off as your thoughts. Yeah, I should do that.
Trying to get away with it.
I've realized that if I were to do that instead of fucking reacting to a goddamn video, you know, people would be less mad at me.
In its use of vocal...
Until hbomberguy makes a 4-hour video on it, then they would get mad at me.
Pat Carroll's ability to slide up and down the musical register, from shrieks to baritones, Poor Unfortunate Souls is an unmistakable send-up of the campy female impersonation numbers of underground queer films in the early days of Hollywood.
When he rips off Griffin quoting more well-known writers like Susan Sontag, he reads them out and puts the quote on screen. It looks like when he thinks he can get away with it, he passes obscure writers' words off as his own. He's already stealing from Griffin, why stop there? Somerton reuses a section of the book where Griffin quotes gay journalist and activist Jack Babuccio, who passed away of AIDS in 1990. Griffin explains who he is and discusses his quote, mentioning by name repeatedly. You know, the way you quote someone and discuss what they said. Somerton removes all mention and discussion of Babuccio, but he still steals everything he says.
And amping up that depiction to an 11. Camp, by focusing on the outward appearance of a role, implies that roles, and in particular gender roles, are superficial. A matter of style.
He then skips a few paragraphs, since the book discusses what Babuccio meant by this, and that would give away James didn't write it. I didn't even think it was possible, but somehow James managed to steal 2 queer authors' words at once.
Respect.
He copied a book word for word, and even removed mention of the people being quoted so it sounded like he was saying their words too. That's not something you do by...
You can't do that. You can't... Dude, not everyone can do that. Everyone's out there doing it one at a time. This dude made it 2 at a time. 2 for 1. That's a double whammy. You gotta put some respect on it.
Mistake. That's something you do when you want to take the credit, which he does. In future videos, James talks about Evil Queens as if it was all his ideas.
But other movies require a bit more digging. In Evil Queens, I talked about the queerness of the 90s Renaissance Disney movies, especially Aladdin and The Lion King. When I first mentioned this to people, they thought I was crazy. Then I explained it to them.
Why would anybody think you're crazy? What? I thought everybody knew Disney was gay as fuck. Am I alone on this? I thought the only people that didn't realize gay Disney. I thought the only people that didn't know Disney was historically always gay is like Ben Shapiro. You know what I mean? Like he's the one who's, and he's also faking it too, just to be like, aha, you've made Disney gay for the first time ever. It was never gay, hypothetically. But now it's gay, and it sucks.
And they came around to seeing it my way.
And everyone clapped. James claims this video is his work and a weird, bold new approach to media, when it's word for word from a 20-year-old book. It's ridiculous. He appears to have found and replaced words like gay and homosexual to queer or LGBT.
Another narrative strand in Disney's films that would have a great appeal to the queer community is the tale of the outside, labeled it as a sin against God and allowed and often encouraged violent.
You know what's ironic? Once again, as long as he sourced it, because this is literally a fucking, like, this is a book that is well researched. All he would need to do is like source this and be like, I am taking this verbatim from the book, and then turned around and maybe sourced another book. And then most people would probably watch this shit and be like, wow, it's crazy how many books he read. Because it's clear he read the fucking book. I mean, he's reading it. You know what I mean?
Acts against LGBT people. Queer culture has unsurprisingly embraced. Queer culture, particularly gay male culture, has long held a fascination with fantasy. The close association of gay men to the world of fantasy has attributed to some of the most common insults for gay men in Western culture.
Somerton never mentioned the book or its author anywhere. There was nothing in the credits, the description, no citations, no mention of his name. Nothing. When YouTubers use a book as a major source of research, usually they mention it or put it in the background on their set. He did film himself next to a book, but it's not Tinkerbell's. It's Disney War, a commonly cited source in videos covering Disney stuff. He's trying to look like he did research without giving away where he got all the words he's saying. Eventually, a Twitter user who noticed the similarities started comparing the works closely and wrote a thread showcasing hundreds and hundreds of words worth of examples of the video directly copying Griffin's book. She eventually asked him why he didn't credit it, and he responded that he hadn't started crediting source materials yet when he made the video. He then finally added a reference to the book to the description almost 2 months after it had been uploaded. He'd gone with the internet historian method, put an acknowledgement of your theft in the description later and pretend that makes stealing okay. The thread's author thanked him for admitting it, but pointed out adding a line of text to near the bottom of the description is deceptive, considering the sheer amount of writing he copied. It looked like he was trying to get away with it by hiding some text somewhere no one would see. In response, he did the professional adult thing and blocked her and started tweeting vaguely about being wrongly accused of plagiarism, even though he always credits authors in the video description, which is a very funny thing to say when he didn't do that until the person he's currently complaining about pointed out he didn't. In just over a day, James went from saying, "Whoops, I'll put his name in the description, learning as I go, smiley face," to "I always credit authors in video descriptions, fuck off with your accusations." He also made a YouTube community post with the same text as the tweets. However, this turned out to be a Streisand'ian bargain, because people started asking what he was being criticized for. Here's where it gets really interesting. James responded to one of them with a new example. Something like this had already happened before. James had made a video called Unrequited: The History of Queerbaiting, and this video had also been accused of stealing from a documentary called The Celluloid Closet. So this wasn't even the first time he'd been caught doing something like this. The author of the thread noticed this comment and looked at the description of the Unrequited video, and there was a note hidden towards the bottom thanking The Celluloid Closet in a familiarly vague way. Somerton had been caught stealing something before, and he tried to get away with it the same way by hiding something in the description. The comments section was full of people saying thanking the documentary in the description wasn't good enough since he copied a shit ton of it. She then tweeted she was considering comparing The Celluloid Closet and Unrequited side by side, like she'd done with Evil Queens. It looks like James saw this tweet and realized someone was about to prove he'd done plagiarism in multiple videos, because suddenly he set both Unrequited and Evil Queens to private so no one could watch them, and made a post announcing this. The thread's author mentioned this happened and included these screenshots of the announcement. Let's put this on a timeline. This tweet came almost exactly 12 hours after saying she was thinking of checking the other video. In her screenshot, the announcement was only 11 hours old. James hid Unrequited within an hour of someone saying they were thinking of checking it for plagiarism. That's not suspect at all. In his post, he explained he was the victim of a targeted harassment campaign, had received death threats, and he hid these videos because he didn't want people who want him dead seeing them. In the comments section, he also claimed the thread's author had been harassing and attacking him for the last 48 hours on Twitter, and her followers had been hunting down his home and work addresses. Any harassment or threats Somerton may have received are unconscionable and wrong. I want to clarify right now that if anyone harasses Somerton on my behalf, they are worse than him and will not see the light of heaven. I must underscore, however, the original author was not unnecessarily rude in her criticisms, was straightforward and polite when speaking to James directly, and when he talked about harassment, she was very clear where she stood on that as well. Somerton accused her of personally stalking him anyway.
Gotta be disgusting to see as someone who actually gets credible death threats for zero fucking valid reasons. I mean, half of the... Here's the difference, okay? Online, if there's one thing that's constant, if you respond, it's going to snowball and it's going to turn into a much larger problem. Whether it's valid or not doesn't matter. So one thing that I will say in this circumstance is what this guy did, his major mistake was to literally fucking respond. He did Streisand it. Streisand effect is unironically a thing that occurs whether the criticisms are valid or invalid. Straight up. Especially if you don't do a good enough job of like sitting down, taking in every single thing that the person has told you, okay? And then going through it piece by piece in the most neurodivergent way you physically can, okay? And making a super well thought out, super reasonable reaction. Only then can you maybe push back on it, but even then people will most likely take that and you know, use it and weaponize it against you. Straight up. I know this. I know this from my own experiences that have snowballed into going from nothing to like snowballing into like absolutely major issues behind the scenes that have turned into like super, that have turned into like consistent hater fuel. Bad Empanada is a good example. What do you mean? Why? What did Bad Empanada do? Oh, quoting sources? Oh, yeah.
And starting a harassment campaign against him, threatening his life and trying to track down his address with her obscure thread of tweets. The author's account was very small at the time, with less than 150 followers.
Yeah, Bad Empanada would be like probably... I think Bad Empanada would be one of the better content creators online if he just didn't have a Twitter account. Unironically, the fact that they keep fucking nuking his Twitter account is actually a good thing for him, but he doesn't realize it. And he thinks it's like a bad thing for him. But it's like he would be so much better as like a content creator that just does not tweet because he's such a fucking freak, dude. Oh my lord, he is such a goddamn freak. He is the most insane person online. His Twitter is mostly a joke, in my opinion. He has like 7,000 accounts. He's also, yeah, I mean, he is a gremlin. He is absolutely a fucking gremlin. Keep in mind, there's people that pretend to be him. Says he doesn't have a Twitter on his YouTube. Good. I'm glad that he says that. Pretty sure he does, though.
And barely anyone had seen the thread until Summerton accused it of trying to kill him. Instead of addressing his mistake head-on and holding himself accountable, Summerton span a narrative about how the most polite critic he could have possibly gotten was the head of a targeted campaign against him, while trying to hide the evidence. On the other hand, the author of this thread has received a lot of harassment from Summerton's fans over the years, to the point they eventually changed their username and locked their account. You literally can't see these tweets anymore. When I managed to contact her with questions, she asked me to reference her as little as possible because she's afraid of it starting again. Summerton's fans believed they were defending him from someone threatening his life, remember? So they were pretty fucking vicious about it. And that is what he was telling them. When he made a video addressing the plagiarism, he titled it, "About Those Death Threats."
Somebody watched my Evil Queens video, my video about Disney, and realized that there are quotes in the video that are directly taken from the book Tinkerbells and Evil Queens. They went ahead and started accusing me of plagiarism. Somebody read their thread and decided to message me some death threats, as you do on the internet. I think she has something like 154 Twitter followers, something like that, and some of the people of that 154 decided, hey, let's threaten to kill him. But yeah, that's the situation. That's why someone doxed me and threatened to kill me.
He claimed he simply...
I mean, it sucks. It sucks, but it's just like, this is a common practice. I'm gonna be honest. It's probably not any of the 154, but it's just like probably haters. You know what I mean? It's usually better practice to not mention this openly because it only compounds. It has
forgot
a capacity
to
get
credit
worse.
the book, which made up the vast majority of his script.
I'm kind of flighty when a video is done and I'm putting the credits together, so I don't always remember to put everything in the credits. That's kind of been a problem with me in the past. That has happened before.
He then compared his video to serious documentaries and how they're often based on books.
You know, like a lot of documentaries, they're based on books that come out. And so, yes, going forward, I just want you to know my videos may well be based off of books.
Normally you get permission to adapt people's books into documentaries before you make them and release them to the public for money.
It's really hard not to see this for what it is. A guy making up a series of bad excuses after being caught plagiarizing. Let's just think about this for a second. If James was honestly adapting a book, why would he film himself on his set for an hour sitting next to a different book and not even think to mention the book he's adapting even exists? Summerton went out of his way not to mention his primary source, so people wouldn't read it and realize he copied it.
So yeah.
Did you go to school? Do you have a bookmark folder? Do you have a history on your saved on your browser? What? Oh, you're talking to him.
I guess what I'm just trying to say is that, yes, there are quotes in the video and sections of the video that are taken from the book. It's not entirely based off of it. There's, you know, most of what's in the video is my own original content.
How does he explain what he did to the quote from Babushio? He doesn't even try.
And if you don't want to support me anymore because not everything is entirely my original thoughts, then that's fine. I would never have had the time to do that amount of research for a YouTube video.
This video and all his YouTube posts about the plagiarism accusations were deleted soon after. I think Summerton realized there was no decent explanation for what he had done, so trying to explain it made him look worse. Instead, he started tweeting that he'd sent the video to the author to ask for permission to put the video up again. He was finally asking permission to do what he already did months ago. I'm curious how he explained all of this to Griffin. It sounds like Griffin asked to be credited properly because the old version of Evil Queens never came back up. Instead, a new one was uploaded. This version is exactly the same as the old one, except it has, based on the book by Sean Griffin, hastily added to the opening credits. In the span of a few days, the video graduated from not acknowledging the book anywhere to using it as a major source of research to finally being based on it. In the years since this happened, Somerton has come up with new lies about it to try to make himself look better. On a recent livestream, someone brought up the old allegations, and his version of the story is that he always had permission from Griffin before he even made the video.
For the Evil Queens one, like I said, that was based directly on the book. That was word for word from the book. And that's why before doing the video, I got permission from the author to do it. But I did have full permission from him before making the video.
The tweet about how he literally had to take the video down and ask permission afterwards is still up. Anyone can fact check this. I want to observe that if this was an honest mistake, James had the opportunity to be honest about it and chose to lie. Looks a bit like a dishonest mistake to me. He also pretends he credited Griffin in the description in the first place, and the person who criticized him simply didn't notice.
In the original version of Evil Queens, the citation was in the description of the video and not in the video itself. And that was the issue. They didn't read the description. And so I took down the video and I put it back up.
Wait, okay, I'm going to skip through this a little bit. So there's more, I assume. Cellulite Closet, it got worse. He's still doing it. Okay, let's watch the Attack on Titan part. That's like the big Monty, right? That's when he pops up. I would go to It Got Worse. No disrespect to hbomberguy. You guys should watch it. I was watching it on my own as well. This is a great video. 4 hours long. I mean, I love hbomberguy. I've watched admitted pre-watch. No, I watched the beginning. Chapter Turnabout Summertime is the best, most damning 3 minutes of H-bomb killing a man's career in this video. He's still doing it, or It Got Worse is what you think I should watch?
Worse. Society and queer horror, or as the video calls itself, deep cuts. Society and queer horror steals so many words from so many writers, it genuinely makes me think I've traveled to an alternate dimension where plagiarism is fine!
4 girls end up in the same school and find each other essentially by cruising the hallways. Given Carrie's simultaneous status as horror film victim and monster, alongside the narrative concerning her burgeoning sexuality and attraction to boys, or when Ripley asserts authority in the team after Dallas is caught by the alien, Ash, the male robot, feels threatened and attempts to dominate Ripley, regain his masculinity. It's fun, messy, mean, sad, campy, and self-aware. That's the key variable that makes Hellraiser so special.
I can't show you how messed up.
Has this guy ever watched a movie and had an independent thought? Like, I don't understand. Like, here's what you shouldn't have done. Whatever you're doing right now. He could have just fucking done something else. I don't understand it. This is how I wrote my college papers. Bro, if you wrote your college papers like this, you would get clapped. These people remind me of that guy you recently debated. Is this guy related to Santos? No.
Up this is without ruining this video's runtime even more than I already have.
Me waiting for the Anthony Fantano video to have an opinion on a new album, Pipo Pago. Yeah, that's a little different. You're passing off that's like kind of the purpose of why a lot of these people originally write these articles as well. So that you read them and you go, and then you say, ooh, I'm going to repeat this to my friends so I can sound smarter. It's like partially, like I've said before, 90% of the reason why I do commentary. The difference, of course, is when you take that and then you just pass it off as your own in an article that you wrote. You know what I mean? Or a video that you wrote. But Fantano doesn't rip a shit. No, I know. I'm saying a chatter hearing me say something and then repeating it to their friends is very different. You don't have to cite me, okay? That's fucking ridiculous. I'm an idiot. You can repackage it. You can even verbatim quote it. Make it seem like it's your own take. You could go around and be like, you know, I have a personal doctrine about nuke ownership, okay? Nation building. I have a doctrine for nation state building. And one of the things is you got to get nukes. And if you don't have nukes, you got to make sure you find nukes. And if someone, if America says you got nukes, and if you don't have nukes, you got to drop everything and find nukes, right? Go ahead. Say it. Who gives a shit? Gonna start citing Fantano with timestamps and casual conversations with the buds. Anthony Fantano, internet's busiest music nerd. Episode 4, minute 14, second 53.
So let's use visuals. Here's a transcript of all the words James says in this hour and 25-minute long video. And here's all the parts that are plagiarized. Each author's name is in a different color for convenience. This video steals roughly 10,000 words from 18 different places. And this is just the stuff I found. There could be more. A truly staggering portion of this video is James staring into his prompter, reading words he got by Googling movie name gay. I wish I could show you everything he copied, but we'd be here forever. This is just one video, and he makes so many of these. And now we know how! But Somerton thinks he's figured out a loophole. It's a familiar spin on an old classic. It opens with a horror-themed credits sequence, which claims the video is based on the works of, and briefly shows a bunch of names. These are some of the people he plagiarized. So if any of his plagiarism is noticed, he can say, "No, I name-dropped them in the opening for literally 1 second, so it's fine." This is the stupidest thing I've ever... Anyone watching this video would assume this is Somerton showing his sources, or people whose work he read while writing the video, not people whose writing is the video, based on the works of Colin Arison. What does
this... is hbomberguy fucking honest Turnitin and shit, dude. It's crazy. Okay, he's still doing it. There's more, and then there was another thing you wanted me to watch, right? Wait! Oh, I want to see the Attack on Titan one.
While I was doing preliminary research late last year, a funny thing happened. Somerton's YouTube community page was wiped. Hundreds of posts from over...
Stop telling me to stop skipping it. You can go watch it on your own, and you should go watch it on your own, okay?
For several years, disappeared overnight. At this point, I'd spoken to a few of the writers Somerton had stolen from, and I wondered if maybe one of them had publicly accused him. But after doing some more looking, it turned out no, someone else had independently noticed they'd been plagiarized because there was still more. Seldom Musings, a WordPress blog, had made a post accusing Somerton of plagiarizing a blog post about Attack on Titan from 2013. And then I thought, wait, doesn't Somerton have a video from September 2022 called, like, Attack on Titan and the Death of Media Literacy? Well, he did. Finding an old link, it was suddenly set to private. Over 1.5 million views had been wiped from his channel. Huh. I already had a copy downloaded because, well, Somerton has deleted inconvenient videos before, and I figured something like this would happen again.
What the fuck? Well, he was just out there? Bro, this man is a hound. Have you checked your citations? No, I have not, and I am scared too. Oh my God. Don't make me ratio you again. How political influencers encourage platform political participation. You dumb cracker bitch. The legitimizing of white supremacy during a Twitch ban of Hasanabi. Post authentic engagement with alternative political commentary on YouTube and Twitch. Perilous place. Personal stories to point to the possible solutions to widespread flooding in the Mississippi Delta. Next, I would like to thank the two media figures who have emboldened my passion for media politics, Hassan Piker and Andrew Callahan. Oh, God. Algorithmic Hate, Brandon Tarrant, and The Dark Social Web by Luke Munn. Hassan Piker unravels the connection between the vlogger and extremist positions in a video titled PewDiePie, Alt-Right or Irresponsible Gamer Bro. Alternative Media and Non-Linear Mediated Debate, The Case of Variety Streamers. How does social media use affect creativity? Live and leftist Twitch political live streaming in Hassan Piker. How Hassan Piker took over Twitch. That's the Taylor Lorenz New York Times article. Not that many. Let's see if there's a... Okay. Dualism and unworthy legal practice. The marginalization of women's rights in Syria. Early marriage. Okay, that's not... Yeah, nothing came up when I... That's wild. Okay, let's continue. Not that many. 3K. Results actual...
I've been going through his videos chronologically, so I hadn't got to that one yet, but what's kind of funny is I know I would have noticed this plagiarism myself if I had. That blog post has gone viral multiple times. It's one of the main sources for Western awareness of Attack on Titan's author's right-wing views. If you're deep on anime fascism discourse, this is a classic post. I've seen it linked and referenced dozens of times over the years. It would make sense to point to this post if you were discussing the political implications of Attack on Titan, or you could even—
There's 7 pages? What the fuck? Wait, what do you mean? No, the rest of these are silly citations. Oh my God, never mind. The direct and indirect effects of temperature, snow depth. Thanks to Hassan Piker for keeping me entertained throughout this extended experiment. Twitch streamers like Hassan Piker and whatever is happening on TikTok. Click. Political influencers of social media and introduction. Mr. Beast criticized for helping people. One of these critics is the Twitch streamer Hassan Piker. Wait, what? Dude, they write anything up in this bitch, bro. 3,000 results? That's too many results. I was mentioned 3,000 times. Politigram, leftist political Instagram, and horizons of knowledge. Extra life, an ODR meditation. Okay, I'm not even in that. Wait, maybe I am. Decoding the theme of hunting in half piker. Okay, see, that's it. The political turn of Twitch, understanding of live chat as an emergent space. Try hard with a vengeance, meaning making and boundary keeping on Twitch. Hasan explained that it was because of the emote spawned spam whenever a black person. Oh, the emote try hard. Lessons for journalists from virtual worlds. To know is to compare. Studying social media across nations, media, and platforms. Hasan Piker, young president of New Jersey. What the? Okay, then the rest of it is just like silly shit. Okay, the rest of it is not me. If you put double quotes around your search, it'll show exact matches like this. A double quote is in a single quote. Oh, I didn't know that. I just did quadruple quotes, I guess. That's it. I've reached a crossroads after dedicating 3 decades of unwavering loyalty and support to Hasanabi, 30 years of emotions, countless moments, and immeasurable energy invested in a journey that has left me profoundly disappointed. Today marks the solemn conclusion of an era as I officially unstan Hasanabi. The weight of this decision is profound. Politigram, Extra Life, ODR. The political turn of Twitch, understanding live chat as an emergent political space. We saw all of this. Okay. Yeah, no, these are all the random shit afterwards. All right, we're done with this. Let's get back.
Quote it and cite it as a source. Well, wouldn't you know it, Summerton doesn't link the post or quote it anywhere or acknowledge its existence, he just copies it.
This outrage should come as no surprise knowing the history between Japan and Korea, but that is exactly what most people may not be aware of. Korea was occupied by Japan from 1910 to 1945, only one of many East Asian nations colonized by Japan as part of its growing imperial presence at the time, during which the Japanese army enforced changing Korean names to Japanese style, destroyed and stole Korean culture.
You're cited, it seems, in some book on rural queer life. What? Una corresponsalía multiformato para las nuevas audiencias. Oh, it's, wait, Emilio Domenech? Wait a minute. That's, I recognize that name. What does he say? I mean, this is like Chris Hayes, streamers like Hasan Piker and whatever is happening on TikTok. What the fuck did Chris Hayes say about me? Die Erschöpfung der vernetzten Psyche, Sonderung der Online-Hypersensibilitäten. Okay, let's just...
Cultural artifacts and locations, murdered the Korean Empress, forced Korean men into hazardous war efforts, forced Korean women into sexual slavery for Japanese soldiers, and tortured and massacred and experimented upon Koreans en masse. However, history books and classes in Japan have glossed over it.
I mean, at least his, like, style has gotten... Emilio Domenech is a Spanish polydix streamer. His name is, I feel like, I think I met him. His name seems super fucking familiar. And he does follow me on Twitter, but
if not outright ignored these events.
James doesn't acknowledge the writing he's stealing at all, though he does find the time to make a long opening sequence, James Summerton Presents, directed and edited by James Summerton, written by Nick Hergott and James Summerton. This site was active briefly in 2013, with a post in 2016 clarifying the blog was done. They came back 6 years later to talk about James stealing their work.
The reluctance to paraphrase the same factual information speaks to a lack of imagination, not to mention a lack of research. He should be ashamed of the laziness of copying entire sentences into his script as if he wrote them himself. How can you say a fandom lacks media literacy when you can't even conduct your own research or compose your own analysis?
Summerton saw the author call him a plagiarist and panicked and hid the video, deleted all his community.
No, I can't see the law review article. Hasan is a buy. Is it your own fucking law review article? Is that what you're doing?
Community post, so there was nowhere to leave a comment asking what happened this time. He was preparing for his plagiarism to go public and locking everything down. If what Summerton was doing was a defensible artistic choice, he'd be defending it, wouldn't he? He'd say, this is a normal thing to do and I'm going to keep doing it. Instead, he does it secretly and hides the videos when people notice. It's clear he knows what he's doing is wrong and would just rather keep stealing than actually do any work. But while we're talking about the Attack on Titan video, you know he didn't
just steal one thing. The video's an hour long. No self-respecting marketing expert would do all that work himself. In this video, and only this video, he quotes several YouTubers, like he has their text on the screen and he reads it out, and he would never normally do that. He would just steal their words and pretend he came up with them, which means he must be stealing from someone who quoted them. And, yeah.
For a long time, anime fans had no way of knowing what their favorite writers and artists even looked like, let alone what they thought about the world.
3.5 minutes of this video comes from Gita Jackson at Vice Motherboard. And yeah, when he quotes YouTubers, he's actually quoting Jackson quoting them. I can't believe I fucking called it.
YouTuber Jeff Thu argues, it's because this discussion keeps happening, but it's also not. There's some really good criticism of Attack on Titan, and I think it's important to criticize it.
Now, this isn't just an article quoting someone. Jackson reached out to Jeff for his opinion on this topic. There's nowhere else James could have got this quote, and this time he really fucked it up. At one point, he uses a quote Jackson got from historian and scholar Andrea Horbinski. But remember how he sometimes find and replaces words like gay or trans to queer or LGBT to hide it? He accidentally did that to the quote!
As they put it, these fans insist that feminism and LGBTQ people don't exist in Japan, and that any anime depicting either is woke garbage or similar. These fans are extremely angry at attempts to discuss the depictions of female characters in anime as something that could often use improvement, or the inclusion of LGBT characters, period.
This is the most amateur shit I've ever seen. This is sub-high school level plagiarism hiding. You don't find and replace text in the quotes, James!
People in Summerton's official Discord server were asking what happened to the video. On January the 1st this year, he said the video was coming—
Say hi to Gita's dad. He's a Hasanabi head. I know. Hi. Thank you for your loyal support.
Back up that day, and that it had to come down because of a missing source. That's a very strange way of saying someone noticed me plagiarizing them and criticized me for it, and I deleted fucking everything. The new version he uploaded is a minute shorter. He just cut out the sections where he directly read the blog post. The video is even more stilted and strangely written than normal. The point Summerton was trying to make here was so important he was willing to steal it from someone else. Now that point is missing, and the surrounding conversation makes no sense. The new version opens saying the original had a citation error. But if that was the problem, why didn't he add a citation instead of deleting the section completely? Well, one reason might be he wants the credit for himself, but the other is if he added their name now, anyone who checked would see the author's new post saying he plagiarized them. Summerton's only way out is to hide it and hope no one notices. He doesn't want to stop stealing, he just wants to not get caught doing it.
If he thinks he can get away with keeping something in, he does. The 3 minutes of the video, written completely by Gita.
He showed up bitching a trans guy, non-binary person. The bit Hasan skipped is fucked. He's obviously transphobic. Part of the reason why he might be doing that also is because, like, I think YouTube will demonetize you if you use those words. So that might be another reason. I don't know.
We've talked a lot today about what plagiarism is, but we should also talk a little bit about what it isn't. It's completely fine to be inspired by someone or build on ideas you got from somewhere else, especially if you're open about it.
Famous big boy YouTuber Ludwig has a thing he calls the yoink and twist, where he gets ideas from existing videos and openly broadcasts he's doing his own spin on it. In his video about that one guy copying the Capsule Hotel video, he happily says where he got the stuff he drew on for his own work.
This is me trying silly chess ideas, and look at all the tweets beside me with your ideas suck. Genius thumbnail. I got it from Fundy. I got it from Fundy. I made your dumb ideas in Minecraft, and then he has a bunch of tweets next to him.
It's hard for anyone to feel ripped off when he's open about where he got the ideas.
I'm old enough now that when I was yay high, I was here for the
praising Elway but smoking you. I mean, yeah, it's fucked up. Fucked up. He must hate me and love.
First time this conversation happened on YouTube. It's easy to get rose-tinted about the early days, the 240p wiki wild west before anyone had sponsorships or even qualified for ad revenue. There was no money in it, so people just made what they liked making. Things were better.
The funniest thing has been people trying to be like, hbomberguy clearly fucking attacking internet historian because he doesn't agree with his politics, but defending Hasan because he agrees with his politics. And I'm like, bro, did you see like the original person that he took down for the entire video? Internet historian is like a brief moment of mention in a much larger takedown of a queer content creator. Like, you think he doesn't agree ideologically with the queer content creator? Or do you think it's because he doesn't agree with the actions there? It's very silly. Sorry, he loves the sponsor. No, I know. I know. Chat, I know.
More original then. This was never the case. There wasn't capital, but there was social capital, and that spends almost as good. The AV
I saw people saying he gives you a pass because you're fucking friends is delusional, or maybe there's a difference between reacting to YouTube videos and passing it off as my own video that I made. You guys think you think that might be the difference? I don't know.
PGN, one of the subjects of this video, had dozens of knockoffs vying for his spot. The Irate Gamer, The Game Dude, The Sega Kid, Urinating Tree, Armake21, Acoustic Rocker, Undercover Filmer, The Pissed Off Angry Gamer Man.
Nintendo Shit Cube.
Even before there was any money in it, we were drowning in people competing to be the guy calling NES Batman a shitload of fuck. But even back then, you could draw a line between people who cynically wanna be the guy and people who wanted to be themselves, but inspired and informed by ideas they liked. Second-generation critics, like the Spoony one, are open about drawing inspiration from Armake21, one of the better angry reviewers. And how many people claim inspiration from Spoony one today? Too many. Stop Skeletons from Fighting, who, unlike everyone I just mentioned, is still around today because he developed his own new ideas, started out by taking inspiration from all these people and then deliberately doing the opposite, with the happy video game nerd, being positive about games he liked. Now that's a yoinkin' twist. YouTube is a beautiful cesspool of inspiration, remixing, riffing, parody. Drawing on existing ideas is a great way of making something new and unique. It's only wrong when you add nothing and try to pretend it was yours in the first place.
And you don't have to cite your sources like a rocket scientist either. Sonic lore YouTuber Cybershell frequently uses information and images he got from websites like The Cutting Room Floor and just explains where he's getting it from and often asks permission to use it. A coward would hide their source in a paste bin and not mention it anywhere else, but his videos are great because he shows you where you could learn more, and maybe even makes fun of you for not reading the website yourself in the first place, while explaining the topic in his own way. This is why Kat is forcing me to tell you his Chow video is objectively the best thing on YouTube. Thanks a lot, Kat. Fittingly, when Cybershell inspires someone, they're equally open about it. When one of his videos led Alan Pan to invent a device to steal soda from Universal Studios, he tells you right at the start he found out about the original from Cybershell's video. This is the community spirit I love to see on this website. It's kind of beautiful watching a wider story unfold. One generation of Baja Blast thieves passing on their designs to the next. If you're honest about it, there's not even anything wrong with adapting a book or telling people what you found on Wikipedia. Different people like getting information in different ways. Wikipedia lets people record and upload readings of pages so you can learn about Bhutanese passports through audio, and they do it for a reason.
Can't find it now by the paywall, but the good quote from the Law Review article, Parker argues that gambling regulations exist because of the incalculable harm it does when you're promoting a dangerous vice like gambling to a younger audience, adding that it's just a bad and wrong thing to do. That's a banger, huh? Look at that.
Bhutanese passport. Some people might even prefer a video version. It would practically be an accessibility feature. Making video adaptations of interesting books or mental floss articles is an idea with potential. It's a way of spreading writing and ideas to a new audience, and all you have to do is be honest about it. That also forces you to be accountable. You'd have to ask permission and get the approval of the people who wrote what you're adapting, which clears up any potential criticisms or infringement on the existing work. Speaking of adaptation, what about different languages? This is another way of sneaking plagiarism under the radar.
You might be wondering why I am subtitled in Portuguese.
A few years back, Jeff Thu, the guy James quoted someone quoting, covered how a Brazilian YouTuber had been stealing dozens of videos from him and other English-speaking creators, but in Portuguese, so us cadelas would never notice. This sucks, but it also points to one of the core barriers to accessibility.
To be honest, though, get your fucking money up. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Yeah.
For creators. Most videos are trapped in their mother tongue, making them hard to watch in other languages and therefore easier to steal. This is why some clever creators very smartly let their producer trick him into paying people to do proper captions for the vaccines video in Portuguese, Spanish, and French so more people could engage with the facts of the story, and Pathologic into Russian because I know who watches that video. Translation is a big part of video discovery, in more ways than one. For Spoony fans, a lot of his old videos used to be missing, as non-YouTube video hosts died and their content didn't make the jump. Many of his videos weren't viewable on YouTube, were it not for the Spoony Russ. A Russian fan of Spoony re-uploaded his videos with Russian subtitles, and some of these were the only versions of those videos that existed on the net, at least for a while. Subtitling his videos didn't just make him accessible to a new language, but to the original language too. That's pretty cool. But you can go deeper than sub. You
Can I get your permission to get my own channel by translating your stream? Fuck yeah, dude.
can dub.
Времени хуже. Это... Вашу мать!
Counter-Strike tuber 3clicks Philip dubbed 2 other Russian creators' videos about mods they made into English, with permission of course. It's very cool that a video about game development got to cross the language barrier for us sukas to enjoy. There might actually be a market in adapting videos like this. I'm sure some of my videos would do very well if someone translated them into English.
I think a lot of people are inclined to protect creators they like on the grounds that plagiarism is a very academic-sounding problem, like something that happens in research papers or journalism, not something that you can do in a silly video made for entertainment purposes. Why are we holding YouTubers to standards? That would be like expecting accurate history from someone whose name has historian in it. Because YouTubers often project a sense of being scrappy, do-it-yourself amateurs, it feels almost wrong to expect them to be professional. But a lot of them are professionals,
I do agree with
regardless how
that.
authentic their person.
To be fair, the first thing he's saying, this is how I feel kind of still even. And that's maybe because like I grew up in an environment where like YouTube was just starting. Like I was there on the bottom floor, you know what I mean? So in my mind, it's just like never a serious, it's never like a serious thing. It's never a serious platform. And I rarely ever think about like the unironic damage that like all of these fucking hater ass, bitch ass commentary channels probably make, because like that shit is now on the record, right? Like people probably know me from that shit. No shot Hasan watched all 4 hours. No, I did not watch all 4 hours. We skipped through a lot of the stuff. I just wanted to see some of the big parts of it. I think it's serious. It is very serious. YouTube is a serious platform. I think he's right. I mean, I get it. You had to walk up and down the YouTube hills both ways, straight up, dude. Little Bear mentioned a Hasanabi head that used to translate your videos to Turkish, but they stopped making them for some weird YouTube reason. I thought that was really cool. The Turkish people who love your content had that for a bit. I know, I fucking hate that YouTube does this shit. Yes, YouTube is like sliced up the Hasanabi Clips industrial complex so aggressively.
Persona might be. YouTubers are now among the most recognizable faces on the planet and have become immensely wealthy doing this. Some are so influential, we literally call them influencers. Maybe it's a good idea to have some standards for not stealing. Maybe. In current discourse, YouTubers simultaneously present as the forefront of a new medium, creative voices that need to be taken seriously as part of the next generation of media, and also ooh small beans little babies who shouldn't be taken seriously when they rip someone off and make tens of thousands of dollars doing it. But on the opposite end, YouTubers who act like serious documentarians gain a shroud of professionalism which then masks the deeply unprofessional things they do. We just saw that with James. I think he's partially got away with what he's doing for so long because he acts so professional about it, so people assume there's no way he could just be stealing shit, so they don't check. And on top of that, a lot of James's videos contain obvious mistakes and made-up facts, which we haven't even had the time to get into in this video. But because they're often presented next to well-researched stuff he stole, no one questions it. I've seen James repeat a lie in his videos, and then other people claim it's true and link his video as the proof. He has helped to solidify misinformation by seeming like he's doing his diligence. To quote the great philosopher Danil Dankovsky, truth does not do as much good in the world as the appearance of truth does evil. Just kidding, he actually stole that from Francois de la Rochefoucauld. Cite your sources, bachelor! This becomes extremely glaring once you've seen how the other side lives. At the last VidCon I went to, like 4 years ago, I was taking an Uber and a bunch of people came in it with me because we were all going to the same place. A bunch of big YouTubers who I don't know super well, including really massive one, like way more important than me, you know? And we were all just making small talk, and I made a joke that was actually quite funny about the topic we were talking about. And this big YouTuber, she laughed and took out her phone and tweeted it. She heard my joke and just casually went, "Oh, I'll have that," and it became her joke. And she just took.
What the fuck? Who was it? Does he mention it? Sniper Wolf? Yo. The pinned message? What is it? As literally you, though, you need to do like a fundraising stream or something where you attempt to play Pathologic. What is that?
Took it. People really liked the joke too, which felt kind of good, but not really. And what are you gonna do, complain? And start a massive public fight with someone extremely famous and get smashed into dust by thousands?
He pinned you, dog? Who did? Who pinned me?
She laughed.
No one will see this, but you
laughed. Oh, I'll joke too, which felt kind of good, but not really.
No one will ever see this, but you stole my joke one time? Yeah, I didn't, okay? I didn't. Or maybe I did. What are you going to fucking do about it? How about that? All you're going to do is watch this fucking 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour, okay? Yeah, that's right. Get wrecked.
What are you going to do? Complain and start a massive public fight with someone extremely famous and get smashed into dust by thousands of fans? No thanks. And that was my Uber too. I paid money to have one of my jokes stolen by a multimillionaire. When people hit a certain level of celebrity, they start to think the world actually revolves around them and they can just take something if they want and say it's theirs. I don't have a clever analysis here. Some people are just fucking weird. I'm not smart enough to know what we're
It's crazy. He just like, he kept this with him forever, by the way. I need to know who it is.
supposed to do about plagiarism. I think trying to fix it in any systemic way could risk making it worse. Let's imagine YouTube introduced some kind of plagiarism claim system. We'd be expecting someone at YouTube to be able to decide whether something is plagiarism or not. And I don't like the idea of YouTube having any more power than they already have.
If there was a system for handling plagiarism, the Illuminatis of the world wouldn't stop, they'd find ways around it. We've seen in this very video how easy it is to get away with copyright infringement. Just blur the logos and slap a filter.
Chat complains about me stealing their fucking jokes while you just repeat what I say to your fucking friends to sound knowledgeable on the matter on a daily basis. I got your fucking number. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's not the same. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, dude. Nice, dude. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you walk around talking about all these different things you heard on the broadcast. Yeah, you got, motherfucker. That's right. No, I changed some of the words.
Over it. These systems are so untrustworthy, when Internet Historian correctly got copyright claimed for stealing an entire article, people automatically assumed it was some kind of mistake, because YouTube is quite fairly viewed as bad at handling this, just as likely to shut down perfectly fair use work as
called
it is
reparations.
actual infringement of copyright.
A system like this would also allow bad actors to falsely accuse people, which would create a lot of problems for their targets. People falsely copyright claim videos they don't like all the time already. It's happened to me. I almost had to give a Nazi my home address so that a video would go back up. I'm half expecting some of the people this video was about to try it with this one. Maybe let's not give YouTube any more easily exploitable features. I want my joke back, but I can live without it if it means not giving the bad guys another toy. Simply being able to talk about plagiarism and bring attention to it and let people decide if something is and who they want to support going forward, that's good enough for now. But don't take my word for it on this. I'm certainly not. Someone smarter than me might come up with a better idea, so let's keep our eyes peeled for
Bro, 4 million views in 2 days, by the way. My boy is popping.
that. As technology progresses, the methods of plagiarism are getting stranger and more complex.
The hot new tool in the stealing tools box is generative AI, like ChatGPT, Stable Diffusion, or Midjourney, which can produce new art or words on command using a process known as stealing. Sorry, that's an oversimplification. The process is called, complicated stealing. Theoretically, generative AI works by training on a large dataset of existing material to figure out how to make new things. Before we even ask whether stuff generated by this counts as original, we have to ask, how did they get all that material? Well, by taking a lot of stuff without its creator's consent. ChatGPT has intricate knowledge of copyrighted works it shouldn't legally have access to, and when you ask it to write something original, it's just smush.
Big YouTubers really hit the lotto, man. They put out one video a year. They work less than the pensioners of Spirit Halloween who only work 1 month out of the year. Oh, man. To be fair, I wouldn't even say hbomberguy is a big YouTuber. He just like chills and makes YouTube videos when he feels like it. You know what I mean? His Vaccines and Autism, A Measured Response is so fucking good. Like him, Sean too, like they really... When they pop, they fucking pop. You know what I mean? Respect to them. I do not have the time or the attention span to sit down and basically make that kind of video. Yeah, the fucking Aquaman is like a classic.